All right, what is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints? Hopefully, we're live and hopefully, you're seeing me. I don't have my other screen set up yet because I was running my mouth. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to our Raging Atheist. We got Ali, Progressive Liberal is here, Dragnot is here for a little while. If you would like to come in, we have 2 more spots, and then we'll have a spot open once Dragnot needs to leave. So, what's up, Ali? I'm going to set up my other screen.
Hey all, so yeah, this was a stream that was supposed to happen on Sunday, and then shit hit the fan, as you all know, with the Anti-Theist International Conference, that absolutely terrible rape apologetics article that he put out. If you haven't seen that stream, go check that shit out at some point with all of the free time that we now all have, because 90% of us are out of work at the moment. It's well worth checking out. It looks like almost every major speaker has dropped out of the Anti-Theism International Conference, except for maybe Richard Dawkins. We're not really sure, but the vast majority of those major speakers are gone now, because of just the fantastic job of covering this that YouTube as a whole has done. So congratulations to everybody who has done work on this. It looks like we've really made a difference. So tonight, this is indeed an open room. If you shoot me a DM through Discord or send Knock a DM through Twitter or an email, then we've got 2 spots tonight. Drag said that he's not going to be able to be here the whole night. He's on the phone at the moment. I think he'll pop back in when he comes back. But he and Progressive Liberal have done a lot of work recently covering coronavirus and some of the misinformation and woo that's been being spread out there. I have links to every single one of Progressive Liberal's streams on this subject in order in the description. So again, if you've got a shitload of free time, and I know that most of you do, then you've got a ton of info all in one place right there.
All right, I'm going to send a link to Nathan. So, yeah, I will send you a link, Nathan.
So, we wanted to cover some of the more recent info and kind of some of our own personal stuff and, like, just have a conversation with all of you. If you guys have any questions, tag either myself or Naka in the side chat so that we can read them out. That way everybody can, we can make sure that we're addressing the questions that you guys have to the best of our ability. None of us are experts in this specifically, but we've all been doing shitloads of research to try to cover it so that you all don't get duped by stupid people.
Okay, I am here, by the way.
Welcome back, Dragnot.
All right, I think Mutable Destiny says that he wants a link in too.
All right, I should still have you immutable, so I will send you a link in email. I did send Nathan a link on Twitter.
Alrighty, so thank you so much for volunteering yourself, Drag. Feel free, I've got a link to your channel in the description. I don't recall you replying any videos that you wanted me to put there, but if there is one, feel free to drop me a link and I'll make sure it gets into the VOD.
No, there are plenty of videos down there and other more important channels that people can go to. Honestly.
Hey, you know, like a daily dose of shirtless Dragnot is an absolutely essential component to the diet of any male-attracted person.
I'm usually lurking. I don't comment because I'm cleaning and shit, but I watch Dragnot talk shit every day.
Shirtless Dragnot is best Dragnot.
I try not to do it every day because you know.
Yeah, every day you're streaming, and then I usually make sure that you're not streaming if I'm going to stream.
Yeah, that's why I try to have a regular schedule in the morning so that people have a chance to listen to it while they're at work, while they're doing housework or something like that. So then other people can kind of go, hey, if you guys want to do something after this, then it gives people plenty of time to advertise their stuff, which is more the merrier.
So, yeah, do you have anything, Nock was saying earlier that while you were AFK, do you have anything in particular that you've seen that's misinformation that you would like to debunk? Because I've got a few pet projects of my own that I mentioned in our sort of pre-show meeting, but I'm curious what you would like to talk about.
I wouldn't know where to start, honestly. I'm not being facetious when I say that. Just over the last week, I've heard from my own family members and just random people there that 5G technology conspiracy has cropped up a few times.
Oh God!
That 5G technology, the infrastructure for it has been put into place to purposely generate a virus. Okay,
so just from the point of view of somebody who understands anything whatsoever about biology, how the fuck do you come to that conclusion? Like,
I have no idea. I couldn't even.
Can you even fathom what
No.
they think the process might be?
Well, if you think about it, if you could like de novo spawn viruses, that'd be one of the most powerful bioweapon technologies that the world has ever seen. Like, if you thought that that's something that could actually happen, which is interesting that people think this is true, but they limit it to this one particular version of a virus that already exists in the first place.
But how would you control it to create a particular kind of virus? Like, if this is just random radiation, like how could you guarantee that you would spawn a virus that could actually be harmful? Like, does it just spontaneously spawn random viruses until something sticks? Like, how the fuck does that work? No
idea. But I mean, it gets better. I mean, there's actually another the kind of the same old one where this one is man-made, that someone in the Venter Laboratories created it along with creating other bioweapons. The Bill Gates has been implicated in that as well, and there's one other guy that
there was a version of that one, I think, that I saw that it was like it had escaped from quarantine in a nearby bio research facility. Like, that's the one that I've seen going about.
Yeah, that's one. There was another one that had to do with there's a guy who is running for Senate in Hawaii, and he references COVID-19 as a virus protein. Now, I don't know what a virus protein is, but
mad cow disease. No, sorry.
Like, I'm not really sure what he was trying to say, but I was reading I actually shared it on Facebook. It was so funny. It's about an hour's worth of him going over this conspiracy, and it implicated Bill Gates into that one, which I know what viral proteins are, like viral enzymes, like reverse transcriptase, but he was referring to COVID itself as a viral protein, which that kind of tells me he probably doesn't know what he's talking about.
I mean, like, I think the fact that he's a senator from Hawaii that is trying to talk on this without, as far as we can tell, any sort of degree on the subject, he probably doesn't know what he's talking about.
But he's trying to become a senator.
So he's not even a senator yet.
No, he's just some Yahoo on the internet, pretending that's. I think that actually that's real. Like, he actually does want to become a senator, but he's just too incompetent. There's something recently that someone shared.
I mean, okay, so Dragnot, I'm going to stop you right there. If Donald Trump could become president, then anyone can become a senator.
That's true. That's true.
I don't think one has to be competent. Competency has been proven to not be a requirement for holding office in this country.
I'm almost positive Roy Moore will win the Senate seat this time in Alabama, and he's a fucking pedophile.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't doubt that. But there's some buzz about chloroquine. I think it's chloroquine. Someone actually just sent me a message about it. Let me get the actual name. But yeah, there's people are saying that this anti-malarial drug, chloroquine, that this somehow can treat the virus, and I'm not sure where people are getting this from, other than an anecdote that came from some investor that is referencing a claim that was made somewhere in China, and there are people's names associated with it, and a Google Doc from unpublished, unpeer-reviewed research. So that's already dubious enough. But this anti-malarial drug from a blood parasite treating a virus, I mean, not impossible, but very, very, very suspect.
Here's the issue, though. Trump brought it up during his press conference today. That's why everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, Trump brought it up as potentially as already having been approved by the FDA.
Right, which the FDA immediately came out and said, no, that's not what's going on. There are trials to see whether or not it could be effective, but there's not enough evidence either way. They're not sure. No one's ever thought about not to test it up to this point. No one seriously.
Right. So it's not even at the clinical trials phase. So
no.
While it's a prospective intervention, it's not something that our glorious commander in chief should have went public to mention at any point in time until it had FDA approval. So right now it's still being investigated. But
the information that I've been able to find shows that that French folks used it in 24 cases, 20 of which showed upper respiratory issues, 4 of which showed lower respiratory issues, and like within 6 days they recovered, but it hasn't been tested in any sort of clinical trial on a larger scale to see if that recovery was natural or if it was actually bolstered by the drug.
Right.
And it doesn't say that any of them have tested negative for the virus, just that they recovered from their symptoms, which 6 days is a window that's well within the currently understood window, as much as we understand anything about COVID-19. Like, it's such a new outbreak that we don't even know what the average window is. We don't have enough sample size, but it's within that 5 to 14-day window for recovery for most cases. So we don't even know if it actually did anything.
Right.
And,
So
and real quick, I just want to issue a clarification. Roy Moore did run in the runoff, but he didn't make the runoff, so he's not going to be. There's no possibility of him getting a Senate seat.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. That's good news. I haven't paid any attention. Thank you, Progressive Liberal. I did see it in the chat, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't paid attention.
It's all good. It's all good.
So what you ideally want to find a mechanism of action that that this particular drug works on. So in some antivirals, you'll have the compound or whatever it is actively inhibit one of the proteins that's integral for it to replicate itself. And I mentioned one earlier. I believe the reverse transcriptase is a known viral protein and a lot of RNA viruses. So if you have a drug that inhibits that unique enzyme, then that's going to be pretty effective. And so that's something that you would look for to try and validate the drug and its efficaciousness.
Well, yeah, and none of the reports that I'm finding say anything about what specific mechanism it appears to work on, just that it seems to have shortened the duration of the virus, which is not very good when you're looking into, I'd have to go find the actual study if it's been published.
Yeah, it's out there on a Google Doc somewhere, and I've yet to sit down and look through it, but it has not been peer reviewed. And
what I read from the FDA's announcement today is that it might work, but so might throwing salt on your doorway. Like, nobody knows.
Well, and there's at least 3 or 4 other drugs that are currently undergoing similar sort of investigation. Like, there was one that was an HIV drug that was used for compassionate treatment, and the person recovered, and so they're starting to look into whether or not that particular drug might do something. But that actually has a proposed mechanism of action behind it. It apparently inhibits a particular protein on the virus's surface that might actually help.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
But again, we're in such early stages that anybody who claims that they've got a cure, and this is where I'm about to jump into my favorite conspiracy theory, because this likes to crop up around flu season as well. But anybody who tells you that they've got a fucking cure, they're lying to you. Like,
Yes.
just flat out, they're lying to you, including the president. He lied to you. I'm sorry.
Shocking. I know.
Welcome, by the way, Immutable.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a while.
Hey, what's up, Immutable? Dragnot, I think you was about to start again, weren't you?
Oh, no. I was saying, yeah,
All right.
it's just way too early, way too soon. I know people want, they're desperate for answers and solutions and stuff, but, shoving vitamin C up your ass is not going to.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great way to bring
Silver's
up
not
my
going to kill it.
particular
I've heard
favorite.
silver a lot.
Neither are coffee enemas.
Colloidal silver and vitamin C. Vitamin C. I would like, Dragnot, if you want to have a conversation about this, this one comes up around flu season. It comes up as a cure for the common cold. There's an entire company that has built its whole fucking, business model around it. Emergency.
Yeah, no, that's a very common one. A very, very, very common one. People think it's a panacea. And then when you actually engage someone and say, look, your body definitely needs vitamin C. Supplementing your daily intake of it isn't really going to hurt, but your body will just, flush out the excess. Like you're not, there's a point at which this particular substance isn't going to be effective. There's only so many pathways and so many routes that it's going to be used in your body. So you can.
And
speak
there's only a
about-
very particular part of your intestinal tract it can even be absorbed from.
Right. So that's like you're only going to get a part of that. The efficaciousness of vitamin C falls off very quickly.
Well, and not only that, but this entire conspiracy theory shit about it being a cure is based on one single suggestion from a Nobel Prize winning scientist who won a Nobel Prize in a different area and has been debunked repeatedly in multiple clinical trials that showed that it has little to no additional efficaciousness in anybody who does not already have a deficiency.
Yeah, but it's like if people think that that's the way to go, then sure, load up on vitamin C and see if it grants you immunity. Let's see how far you actually want to take that. But I've yet to meet too many people who want to actually try that out and expose themselves to, let's say, HIV.
Yeah. Take it all you want, but don't just start, exposing yourself to serious disease. That would be stupid. That's like the basketball player that laughed at all of this when it first started. Maybe he saw some shit on some news organizations that were kind of laughing it off, licked the microphones, licked his hands, and he caught it. He was like the first basketball player I think that caught it. So it's do what you want if it makes you feel better, as long as it's not harmful to you. But fucking do what they're telling you to do too. I think that's what the problem that we're seeing, and I don't know. Like, I haven't been outside too much, so maybe they're not doing it around here. But I've seen it on the news. People going to spring break. People doing St. Patty's Day. Like, what the fuck, man? Just do what they tell you to do and stay inside.
Yeah, in the state where I am, Florida, like in Miami Beach and like Clearwater, there's a big issue going on because it's spring break for normal universities, but some of these numbnuts are just, wanting to party down at the beaches anyway. And they're very dismissive of the coronavirus as taking it for being something akin to the flu and just being very obnoxious when it comes to taking public advice.
And I really don't even blame them for that, because we've been conditioned for that, right? Like we've been conditioned that medical science is going to beat it unless it's something really bad. We saw the SARS outbreak, we saw the bird flu, the swine flu. We've seen all of these different illnesses, and nobody understands what they are, and they don't understand why they didn't affect us. So yeah, I can understand you not quite getting it. What I can't understand is just the blatant fuckery, like what I saw in Chicago on St. Patty's night. I'm like, you guys are just being fucking stupid now.
I mean, I think part of that comes part and parcel, with the age demographic for some college students. Like, we're at that age, they're just slamming beers or just slamming.
Yeah,
alcohol.
being young and dumb, and they're
being just fucking stupid.
But
I did it when I was their age.
Something like half the people that are currently hospitalized in Italy, though, are under the age of 65. So it's looking like folks with certain conditions who are in the younger age demographics, which was something the CDC said from the beginning, could be still at special risk. You could very well develop severe illness, but it's not even about you.
Well,
right? It's about your grandmom. It's about your little sister who's got diabetes. It's about your daughter.
There's real data coming in now. 40% of the cases being hospitalized here in the United States are between the ages of 20 and 50. So just because you're young does not mean you're immune, and you need to understand that shit. And you're right, Immutable, but you have this fucking complex when you're young, like you're gonna live forever, and you're just not, and this is affecting them, and I don't think that it's getting relayed to them directly enough. That what I've heard from a lot of young people, because I work with young people, is I'm not worried about myself because I'm not going to get it. I'm worried about carrying it and giving it to my grandmother. I mean, that's what I've heard from a lot of them.
Yeah, that's people who are cognizant of what a communicable disease is and how it impacts people. But not everyone is aware, and some of them are aware actually, and then some of them just simply don't care. But I mean, it's like, I get it. I've been young at one point in time. I wanted to rebel against what everyone else was doing, but when some of their buddies become deathly ill, that'll be something that they learn from, and then that's ultimately what's going to happen, because it only takes one of them in the crowd at spring break to pass it to everybody, because that RO is sitting around, I think, 2.5 or 4 now.
Well, but I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, especially with this kind of virus, it's highly communicable. Like, it's easy for the virus to spread and just infect people like crazy.
What's up,
Like-
Nathan?
Apparently, like, the flu virus is, I forget exactly like how big of a factor, but it's way easier to be communicable than, say, the flu, for instance.
Well, the flu virus communication factor is between 2 and 3, depending on which statistic you're looking at and which strain. Coronavirus, it's currently at 4. But not only that, but with the flu, it's nearly impossible to communicate the flu when you're not symptomatic. With coronavirus, there are people who are carriers that never develop symptoms at all that can still transfer it.
Yep.
Like just speaking and being around people, physical contact with people, and even with surfaces, even without the coughing, can still transfer coronavirus. That is what makes it so bloody terrifying. You could have, 10 million typhoid Marys running around, so to speak, and they would never bloody know that they are the ones who got their entire community sick. And that's what makes that behavior that we're talking about so fucking dangerous.
Yeah, I literally got yelled at tonight by my brother for coming outside to get the groceries that he went to get for me because I'm supposed to be completely isolated because my immune system is severely depleted from years and years of it fighting against the disease I have. So like I'm completely isolated. Like I can't fucking leave, and it's day 4 of it, and I'm like bashing my head against the fucking wall already, and I'm a homebody.
Right. Well, Will Kincaid's bringing up flatten the curve and how it's not a thing. So let's talk about flattening the curve, Will. Here's why it's important.
Yeah,
to flatten the curve.
Will, don't be the baby
right.
manatee, Will. Come on now.
Here's why it's important to flatten the curve. There aren't enough hospital beds to treat everybody at the same time. We don't want a situation like they currently have in Italy, where if you're sick with coronavirus and you need a hospital and you go to the hospital, they already know whether or not you're going to live or die. Because too many people are sick, there aren't enough beds, there isn't enough equipment, and it's the death panels that they claimed Obama had that he didn't have. They have them right now in Italy.
So is he being serious or is he just being himself?
He's probably just trolling.
Okay.
Probably.
I don't.
So
I'm-
bad
Like,
information.
Will, it's probably not the night for it, dog. But if you're being serious, be serious. But you're being stupid, I think.
Like if he has a genuine issue with like kind of what's going on as far as how it's communicated or not understanding it, then yeah, I think that definitely should be addressed because some people don't know what it means. But just like offering derision, trying to be funny and edgy is just fucking stupid and old.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
for all mistakes, I just hope Will isn't this autistic.
Well,
I mean,
so
that's reaching, but yeah.
but yeah, no, that does kind of segue into a good point because people are saying, hashtag flatten the curve and that sort of thing. So people have seen some graphs at some point, their numbers. Not everyone's well versed in like how to read them and how to interpret them. So it helps to understand that there's a certain number of beds, there's a certain number of available medical staff able to treat any given population.
Okay, question. We've got questions coming in from the chat. Immutable, were you using autistic as an insult there, or is there some context to that comment that people are missing?
No, I was using it as an insult because Will has made some just very dumb mistakes.
Please refrain from that sort of thing in the stream, please.
Okay, that's fine.
I do believe Will is on the spectrum, though. I think we've talked about it before. I might be wrong.
Yeah, we've got lots of people in the chat reacting to that. That's a rule that we have in the chat that counts as kind of slur type stuff. So please refrain from doing that in the future.
So there's an issue with people who are going in for what may be, let's say, rhinovirus, the common cold, right? So if you're going in for something that will resolve itself within 2 weeks, with you doing minimal effort, you're taking up a bed possibly for somebody who could be suffering from the moderate to severe symptoms of COVID. So that's something that we want to try to mitigate. Let's say that hypothetically there's 10 people and all of them have the same symptoms, but they need medical attention in the later stages of this illness, right? you are only going to have so much to offer those 10 people because, as I think Fiona said in the chat, you're going to have to triage them. So we can only treat so many of them, because even in my hypothetical scenario, the one with moderate or even minor, minimal symptoms could develop a comorbidity that can turn it severe. And so we're going to need those available medical resources. So if you have a high influx of people who are taking up these beds for, rhinovirus or for anything else, broken leg, whatever, then we can't treat the COVID people. So that's that curve is what we're trying to get under control. But it's more so dealing with mortality, but I don't want to be so grim. So let's just look at it as that. That's kind of the gist of what people are getting at.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. And actually, while we're on that topic, Nathaniel, I have noticed that you have been in a utter Twitter storm criticizing your state's response to this. So I'm curious if you'd like to share some of those opinions here.
Which state?
Oregon, I think we were talking about.
Oh no, Oregon's doing really well. I certainly haven't been. Like Governor Brown has done a lot of things. I don't think the U.S. government has provided for her everything she's requested.
Okay.
No, I think Oregon's done great. Just the United States in general has done horribly, and I think that's coming to bear. I think my projection was March 24th, I think, for complete overwhelmed healthcare system. And I think that's I was probably 17 to 24 hours behind. So it could be anywhere from the 23rd to the 24th, I imagine.
I agree wholeheartedly. Our response has been disastrous, and to see the excuse making and justifications for the response has been pretty sickening. I was watching I don't watch much CNN, but I saw a little bit on CNN earlier, or maybe it was last night sometime, just a few minutes here and there, that this doctor was talking about how, the president can say that all these masks are being produced, but they're not getting them. And nobody's getting them across the country.
They got tons of masks and all of them were expired.
Yeah. And they're being told they're literally using masks for a week on end, and doctors are getting sick. And that's a huge issue right now. And it's just starting, and the doctors are getting sick. Not good.
Mm-hmm. Can I make one quick point that I was thinking about earlier?
Oh, please do. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, you didn't at all. In fact, this is not about even what I was asked. The people that are most skeptical of this virus are evangelical Christians. If only they would be more skeptical.
Does that surprise anybody? I mean,
well, if they were more skeptical about their fucking book, maybe this wouldn't be such an issue right now.
Yeah,
because they're going to church, man. They're like everywhere, and the only people that are in government that are like, go out and do whatever the fuck you want to do are Republicans in Alaska and South Carolina and Georgia and fucking Texas. And I'm like,
and they did the same thing with the Ebola, H1N1. They've done it with pretty much everything that has posed something of a threat to the United States, though. Like, unfortunately, like that's one of the ways, like, to cause distress, within the medical system.
I don't
Actually,
get that.
Here's a good question for the panel. How long do you think those common masks that you see, those N95 masks, how long do you think they're actually effective for?
Oh,
I have no idea.
They're not. Is the thing.
I would say they're not really effective to begin with. And I know from the doctor I watched today that they use them for, like, they enter a room, they put a mask on, they leave the room, they take the mask off every time.
So you see people walking around with those N95 masks all day long. They're only effective for large particulates, for one thing, because a few you identified that, and they're only good for about 4 hours.
Yep. And none of those people that I've seen were wearing eye protection. And
they're not going to really stop you from like getting it right. Like they'll help you, like, if you have it is
Yeah,
what I
if you've
heard.
got it or any other sort of, if you've got it and you have to leave your house for some reason, let's say you live alone and you can't get somebody to go get your groceries, then it can help prevent you spreading it to other people, at least slightly, but that's about it. And even so, the ones that are not full coverage don't do anything at all.
Yep. And yeah, the only time that I would expect anybody to wear one of those masks would be, as was mentioned, when they are showing symptoms, because then it becomes more difficult to transmit it. And so,
before I got tested, because I don't know, Nathaniel, if you were paying attention earlier in the stream, but I actually went in for testing because I had contact with somebody and I was showing symptoms of some sort of respiratory illness. It turns out I've got bronchitis. And I tested negative for both the flu, and they decided not to test me for COVID because I wasn't showing the symptom of fever. My fever wasn't high enough. But they had me wear it, and I wore one while I was out during that time because I didn't want to potentially give it to anyone else before we knew what was going on with it. But that's about it. Like, I wouldn't encourage anybody
That's
else
when you should wear it.
not showing symptoms.
And it's actually a really huge issue because, as I said, doctors don't have them. People are buying them in just massive numbers, but it's also hand sanitizer. Get a little bit of hand sanitizer and carry it around with you. Yes, that's good. I highly recommend that. But there are actual people with medical conditions that need that hand sanitizer, and they can't fucking buy it now.
Yeah. Well, only if it's used properly as well. Down in New Orleans, they have drive-through testing now, which is great if you are a first responder, but not if you are one of the millions of citizens down there. The ineffectiveness of our government continually to even in any way, it seems, attempt to contain this. Oh, we can't contain it anymore. It's already done. But to mitigate this and to stagger it, they are just ignoring every single sign and every single country that has been through. And I am terrified for Susan. She's
the myth of American exceptionalism.
Well, it should not be forgiven that the president called this a hoax, that Republicans across the board, right up to a few days. Hannity still might be saying that this is pretty much a hoax. I listened to him a few days ago, and I think that they've all changed their narratives now, but they should not be forgiven for that. And we should not let people forget about it because they dropped the ball, and now the whole economy shut down. When if they'd have been progressive about it from the very beginning, they had 3 months where it's 3 months into this now, and we're here now, and it's fucking spreading like wildfire.
Yeah,
well, and I would like to add one big thing before we move on subjects. To Nathaniel's point, credit where credit is due. Rishoku Sekai, which is an organization, it's a Buddhist organization, the Mormon Church, and the Unitarian Universalist Church, they have all cancelled all national services. And they did that relatively early on, before states even started shutting other things down. I will give them credit where credit is due. Now, Mormonism is still a fucking cult, but at the very least, they were smart enough to try to take care of their members, and they did that before states started shutting down restaurants and such.
Sure. Do you know who's not being smart right now? The NIFB.
Absolutely. I already saw...
Yeah, I think you guys know them. Susan, they showed up to the apartment the other day.
Just a little.
Yeah.
I know them a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm in Oregon. I didn't get an experience.
But I don't know this. So how are they not being smart? I want to hear it.
It's bad for everybody. I don't want anybody to get this. As much as I don't want, as much as I hate to consider that the president has dementia. Right, which is my opinion. Nobody needs to get that, no matter how shitty of a person they are. Well, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not diagnosing anything.
It's okay.
But,
you're still right.
But nobody needs to get things like this. And the best we can do to prevent it from everybody, because if they get it, they're not keeping their kids to themselves, quite obviously. So,
I think there's also a real concern for people that are just completely like anti-establishment and anti-like medicine altogether.
Excuse me.
Like not only people that are like anti-vaxxers, but people that, very Southern like prayer warriors who just refuse the attention of medical care.
Oh yeah, I've done stories on them. They have graveyards of dead children that they refuse to take to the hospitals. They try to pray the cancer away or whatever it was.
Well, yeah,
sorry, go on.
No, good. I mean, just they go through all sorts of weird like hoops and logic to kind of try to find ways of natural cures, so to speak.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, it absolutely. It's just
You know, I
But
never even
I,
thought of it from that angle, Immutable, and I should have, because I have covered sects of Christianity. It's primarily in two states. Weirdly enough, Ali, you have some of them in Washington State. I believe the other one is Idaho. It's either Iowa or Idaho. But I did a series of videos called "Speaker of the Dead" about that, to where, you know, there's literal graveyards of dead children that they would try to find alternative means. They would try to pray away the disease. They would not take them to medical doctors, and their children died.
Of course.
So
Of course they
we've got a question from the chat that was tagged a little bit ago, and I wanted to make sure it didn't get buried. Richard Madsen asks Dragnaut, would automotive painters' masks for car painters be effective properly used?
For large particulates, not for viral agents, because you're thinking of a viral particle is, I believe, several picometers long, versus particulates in painters' masks are quite large in the nanometer range.
okay.
And-
Look that up. I thought
Yeah, let me double check that, but I want to say they're picometers.
Yeah,
I don't know
remember,
how
virus
good they
particles
are now, but I used to be a painter. I used to be an industrial painter. And the mask that we used back then, this was like 15, 20 years ago, didn't stop shit.
Right.
So real quick, I meant to say nanometer. The viral particles nanometers in size.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
remember they're so small that they go inside your blood cells, reproduce, and then burst out the sides. That's how they're, you know, 1/1000th the size of a blood cell, I think, something like that. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
roughly.
they're incredibly small.
So Richard also in a prior comment said you should be happy Christians are going to church. I believe this is addressed at Nathaniel because it was tagged with him. You should be happy Christians are going to church so long as they stay home. Otherwise, you should be happy.
I don't know what that means.
no, I don't want anybody to die. I'm not happy about anybody dying. I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Richard, I would say that there's actual data that this is church service has been an issue and a cause of spread. I don't want to quite. I'm not quite. It's not time yet to take it to where I'm going to eventually take this shit, because I'm going to be here for like 2 months and I'm going to be making video after video. So I'm going to take this some dark places. I'm not quite yet ready to go there, but I would say don't go to church right now.
Yeah, please don't listen to the pastors that are telling you that you got covered by the blood of Jesus and all this nonsense. No, you're not. Like I understand your belief, evangelical Christians. I get it, but the majority of people that go to church in the United States anymore are older, and these are the most at-risk people, and they have children in there. Who, while children don't show as many symptoms and don't have nearly as high of a fatality rate, can still carry it and infect other people. So please, Christians, please, and also Muslims overseas, stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
You're killing each other.
Well,
Okay,
there's,
Richard
well, hold on real
clarified,
quick.
Nathaniel, that it was just a bad joke.
Oh, okay. There's a place in,
horrible
I
joke.
want to say it's Iran, and I'm not. This isn't religious shaming or of any kind, but what they do for their healing blessing is there's a statue that everybody touches and kisses at the front of the room, and
Lovely.
100 people will go into the temple and touch and kiss it for their healing blessing, and it's like. I don't want to shame anybody for what their religion is. at all.
No.
I am not an anti-theist. I believe that evangelical Christianity is dangerous to my politics, but I'm not an anti-theist.
I mean, you practice a
But-
religion on your own, right?
I do.
You're a
I do.
Taoist.
I am right. It's different kind of religion. Anyway, my point is,
Yeah, I understand
I
Taoism.
just don't worship that way right now. Like, I don't want to see any of you die. Please don't do that. That's
Yeah, Taoism isn't really a religion. It's
right.
it's about the self.
It's considered an atheistic religion, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I can only imagine. I don't think like the gathering for like particularly like with Muslim people, like the gathering of Mecca. But Jesus, that must be.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of the the altar, the stone, whatever it is, the rock that came from space. But yeah, there's like a pilgrimage once, twice a year to where millions of people are circling this fucking thing. Like, don't do that right now. I don't know if they are, but if it's time, don't do that right now.
Yeah,
well, and I
they
mean,
do,
like I
that's
said, that's why I gave the Mormon Church and the like Unitarian Universalists and Rishoku Sekai the credit I did, because they all have announced that. And you know who else did that? Weight Watchers. They put out announcements last week that they were going to be moving all meetings to online meetings, and that they were going to be making the online meetings available to everyone through Zoom links and such. So even they recognize how dangerous this is. Oh, we lost Immutable.
Well, I think it's important to note that Iran and Saudi Arabia and those Middle Eastern countries, they have said, stop it. And they've closed the mosques and they've closed places of worship. These people are just going there en masse. They look like Americans going to the beach in Florida. Right. And they are just ignoring this, thinking that again, that Yahweh or that Allah or that whoever they worship is going to save them and protect them. And I'm like, guys, this has not worked in the past. It's not going to work today.
The Hajj, that's what I was trying to think of. The Hajj. Thank you, Boxer Wing.
So yeah, it's and I don't think, and Jay said in the chat, people are stupid. I don't think that it's stupidity. There is this just belief. They're smart enough to understand this.
Sure.
It's not a difficult thing. Somebody has a dry cough, and they have 104-degree fever. They've got something, and
right.
at that point, it's likely contagious regardless.
I think I did too, right up until the moment that our governor took action and like started shutting shit down. I think that's when I really started taking it seriously, because before then it was just like it was like, fuck, they're talking about this instead of politics. I mean, that's literally how I looked at it. And then once the governor started shutting shit down, and it, sadly to say, really affected me, I don't think I even really took it that seriously, because I think you have this perception, like, we're going to get a handle on it.
If it was that serious, they'd be doing something about it.
Yeah,
which I think is a great transition into what Progressive Liberal sort of mentioned on Twitter that he wanted to talk about a bit, which is Trump's denial right up until recently and the sort of negative impact that this administration's negligence has had. It sounded like Nathaniel wanted to talk about that as well. PL, do you want to sort of lead into that? Because this has been a big focus of your coverage.
Sure. It has. Well, we started with comments about how it was going to go away. It's like a miracle. It's going to go away. We might have 30.
It'll be settled in a few weeks.
Right. He said something like, we'll have 30 cases, then you'll see 15, and then you'll see none. He was very dismissive. Now, the whole thing is that today in his press conference, a picture was taken of his notes. He crossed out the word corona and in black Sharpie wrote Chinese. He is doubling down on calling this the Chinese virus. And the narrative on Twitter is, everyone calls the Spanish flu, which originated on a pig farm in Kansas. Also, there are newspaper reports at the time that the Spanish were pretty upset that we were calling it the Spanish flu. So he is a racist, incompetent moron. He has no idea what he's doing. He won't listen to anybody. And he wants to use this crisis to exacerbate the racism apparent within himself and his base in order to try to win re-election as president.
Well, and let's not even mention the fact that just before the pandemic, even after he'd been briefed, he fired fired the disaster awareness team, was it? Or the pandemic team at the CDC?
The pandemic management team, yes.
Yeah, and people getting these checks, they're gonna forget about that as long as he keeps feeding them during this crisis. And I'm one that needs to be helped, so I don't want to criticize them for actually doing the right thing, but they're not, and that we could talk about that all night long as well. Tax cuts are going to be involved in this shit. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
we can't allow them. We can't allow people to forget that response. And the fact that they just until like a week ago, they were calling this not just a hoax, but a Democratic hoax to cost him the election.
Yes.
A panic so people wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. I mean, it's We can't let them
Martha
forget
McCollum.
that.
Martha McCullum on her show on Fox News said that the Democrats were making all of this up because they couldn't get impeachment to stick and remove Trump. So
Yes.
they were going to use the coronavirus.
Yeah, I've heard that from several of their pundits. I heard Rush Limbaugh, I believe, was one of them that said it directly.
And you know what's interesting is he didn't start taking it seriously until he came into contact with somebody who had it.
Yes. Real quick, and I just want to mention this because you brought it up, Nakasuchi, before I forget. The bill that was proposed today by Republicans in the Senate was to do this. Loans to big corporations and small businesses. We can talk about that if you want. Corporate tax cuts, as you mentioned, we can talk about that. Checks of $1,200 for many taxpayers. I think that number will go up, but we'll talk about that. And impose limits on a paid leave program enacted this week to respond to the coronavirus crisis. So what they're doing is saying, we'll give tax cuts to rich people. We'll give tax cuts to corporations. We'll give taxpayers $1,200. It's based on your 2018 tax return. But we also want limits on the bill we just passed that gave everybody paid sick leave. So that was their initial proposal.
Yeah, and didn't they vote down like the across the board 12-week sick leave? All 51 Republicans voted it down in Congress.
Yes. So we'll just go into this real quick since I brought it up. I believe that the final bill, once all of this is worked out, you'll see this pass in a week and a half or so. It'll probably be about $1,750 for everyone. They'll probably stick with the 2018 tax return as based on, it'll be based on how much money you made in 2018 fiscal year. The limits on paid leave probably aren't going to pass, but the corporate tax cuts probably will pass. That is my prediction for whatever final bill finally makes it to the president's desk.
Yeah, corporate tax cuts are passing because they wanted to do it since they passed the last ones.
Well, what they want to do is they want to cut what are known as payroll taxes. And the reason they want to cut payroll taxes is because it will give them an excuse to cut Social Security and Medicaid, because Social Security and Medicaid are paid for with payroll taxes. So they'll cut payroll taxes, and then a year from now in next year's budget, they'll say, oh, there's not enough money to fund Social Security and Medicaid. We've got to cut it.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna start using that once this is all settled, and they're spending, this is $1 trillion this go around, and they're saying they might have to do it again, and who knows how long this is gonna go on. They're gonna use that to say, hey, now it's time to cut Social Security, now it's time to cut Medicaid. We got to get rid of these entitlements because we're broke now. We're still dropping bombs on Iraq, but we're broke now. Right.
Oh, we'll still bomb the shit out of brown people. Come on, we're Americans. But yes, so my prediction is that this is the beginning of a global depression that will last the better part of the decade, and we will not recover quickly. The entire world won't recover quickly, and if predictions are right, and 50 to 70% of people in the world are infected, you're going to see 100 million people dead. And that will change the entire world. Probably not for the better, but it will change things. So, we're headed to a bad place.
We've got a quick question from the chat, and then we'll come back to politics. We have a question from Papalopagus asking why COVID-19 was named the way it was rather than being named after the place from which it originated, the way that, say, Zika and such was. The answer to that, as far as I can tell from the WHO website, and if somebody wants to jump in here and correct me, was that coronavirus is not an entirely unique disease. It is simply a strain that we have discovered of an already existing virus. So it was named after the year in which it was discovered, and it was named after the family of viruses from which it originates. So that was the most concise naming conventions versus something like Zika, which is an entirely novel virus that doesn't appear to be related to any that we had discovered before.
Right. Yeah. So that's it was initially called the novel coronavirus because it had unique mutations, but it still fit within the family Corona Viridae. I can never pronounce that, but it's not completely new. We have had misnomers for lots of things that we name. It's just kind of something that we as humans do. But to say that, it did actually originate or was discovered in Wuhan, but that is due to Wuhan's function as kind of a port, a trade hub for like over the last 100 years. To call it a Chinese virus is kind of a bit misleading because it's hard for a country to have ownership of something that occurs naturally. Like we don't name hurricanes after countries, even though they'll spawn in close proximity to one. We just have random names generated every year for them. So I think I'm not sure why people have chosen to call it a Chinese virus, because to me, when I hear that, it sounds like a virus that impacts Chinese or Chinese people, which is demonstrably false.
I can tell you why. I mean, it's because
Well,
the president says it. The president says it. His morons will follow.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, because its actual name is like coronavirus NV2 or something like that. I have to look it up.
It was SARS-COVID SARS-COVID-19.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. SARS is a coronavirus, and coronavirus comes from the fact that the virus particulates themselves, each one has these spikes on the top, and the spikes are how it attaches onto the blood cells and enters them. But it looks like a crown, and corona means crown. That's where it's from.
Now,
I figured they were just naming it after a shitty beer, honestly.
Yeah, that happens.
I mean, if you want, you can call Zika Flaviridae if you want to.
Sure.
If you can even call it the what is it, Aedes aegypticus, the name of the mosquito, if you want. That's more difficult to say.
When we're having drinks, I call it that.
Yeah, but also the only reason they're doing this is because the president is trying to again distract away from everything by saying racist bullshit.
Right.
Don't pay attention to it. That's the number one thing that I can say is don't pay attention. They're doing it on purpose. We already know he's a racist piece of shit. And a sexist and a bigot. I know I can go on. I have a lot of adjectives.
Well, and for anybody who's interested in where that information came from, by the way, I posted a link to WHO's website on the naming, and there's a PDF in there under how are the new diseases named. If you click that link, there's a PDF linked there that will explain the naming conventions for WHO. Sometimes the media will rename things even though they have an official name, and that might also be part of the reason why you've heard so many different names for certain diseases.
Yeah, and I personally believe that the president's a racist prick. Like I literally have called him out for the bullshit his dad did with the KKK, getting caught up in the rally, all that shit. But like, even say all right, if you're a Trumper and you just like, he's just not racist. Like the dude is a narcissist and he can't admit that he was wrong. And this is a way to deflect from his inaction and his inability to act. And by all reports, it's even happening within the White House. He's lashing out at Jared Kushner because it's Jared Kushner's fault, because Jared Kushner came at him and told him that this was just basically a hoax and it was a PR stunt by the Democrats. And he believed that, man. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is true and he actually believed that shit, it shows you how much of a fucking moron he is. B, if it's not true, then it's just another PR stunt to say, hey, I didn't do that. I didn't do anything wrong. It's the Chinese. It's Jared Kushner. I'm the president. I'm perfect. I've got perfect words.
Well, it just fits the narrative and the pattern that he constantly has, right? Where he will fuck up and then he'll get criticized and then he'll try to pick a whipping boy, or woman in the case of one of his former PR directors, and he'll beat the living shit out of them publicly and blame them, even while the world recognizes that he's attempting to gaslight them. But I think this is a good time to return to the news that we were talking about earlier about insider trading among Republicans and some personal, motivations that Trump might have had in terms of business interests to deny this, in addition to the election.
Well, it really stuck out to me that one of the major industries he emphasized today in his press conference was the hotel industry. And I wonder why he's so worried about that particular industry. Not saying that they don't need help, but I wonder.
Shocking, isn't it? Confusing. So the senator you're talking about is Senator Richard Burr.
Sir.
Burr talked to a bunch of donors about a month ago and told them that something big was coming, something bad was coming, and not to believe the the official stance of the administration on coronavirus. That same day or the next day, he sold between $556,000 and $1.5 million in stocks. This was about 3 days before the stock market started having trouble. 2 days, 3 days, something like that.
And it appears in transcripts that he did give away information about this to these donors, and they may be implicated in this too.
Right. This isn't this isn't like sources say. We have the audio. Like the audio has been leaked of him saying it. He's appropriately named Dick. That's what I'll say. He's appropriately named Dick. And he should be prosecuted, in my opinion, for insider trading, and he should immediately resign, and he should be impeached by the Senate, and he should never be allowed to run for elected office again.
I agree. I mean, it's really sad if you come in and you make Jeff Sessions look honorable. I'm just like I never thought I would say that ever in a million years, but like he's come in. And I missed the Keebler Elf. I wish that he was still there.
Yeah. I mean, the crass. Somebody said this on Twitter, and I wish I could remember who it was, but I want to give them credit at least as much as I can. It shows you who Republicans really care about, doesn't it? Because it really does. That it's not a danger, but to tell your really rich donors that it is. Hey, get out of the stock market. Everything's about to go bad. Shows you where their loyalties lie.
Well, and he like the leading officer of the country. Like he leads.
He's the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senate Special Committee on Intelligence or something. But the Intelligence Committee, yes.
Yeah. It's just the hypocrisy, and so this is being reported. Do you think that anything will come? Like, will he face charges?
To be honest,
no.
The entire country. Listen, this is my opinion. May 1st, we're going to have a completely different nation than what we have right now. I have no predictions about anything. People keep saying, what's going to happen? I literally have no idea. I agree with Nathaniel that probably not. I don't think so, but dude, we could have a fucking purge night in June. Like, I literally have no fucking idea.
I mean, even my dad is a Trumper. My dad lives down in North Carolina, and he was like, Ronnie, and my real name's Ronnie, y'all, it's out there. He's like, you need to lock your doors, because shit's gonna get crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
okay, so Nathaniel, never apologize. You have to interrupt in order to speak in these things.
Right. Okay. Still sorry. California shut down. Just happened. He just locked California down. He just said
everything.
He said stay in your homes. And I'm reading the transcript and stuff now.
I'm gonna give everybody a secret. Go ahead and just stay in your homes.
Yeah, if you can help it. Also, if you can help it, come to Oregon today, Susan.
Yeah, and I'm scared, guys. Like I did a 13-minute stream freaking out when our job was closed, and I'm like, how am I going to pay my rent? But right now I'm hunkering down.
So I haven't talked about this publicly. I don't have a job right now. I haven't had a job in a couple of weeks. I was going to work for the census. I was going to be a census taker. I got hired officially the other day. It was going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty good money. They told us today it's on hold. The census is on hold. That's where we're at. The census is on hold.
Which reminds me, for those of you who have an internet connection, which quite obviously everybody sitting in our chat does, if you're watching this video, you do, you can put in your census data, if you're one of the heads of households, online, even if you haven't gotten anything in the mail yet. Like, this is possible. All you have to do is go onto the website, click I didn't get something in the mail, put in your address, and you can put all of your information in. Do that. Your head count is going to determine the funding for a number of different programs for the next 10 years.
That's how it works right now. We'll see what we have in 6 months. That's how it works right now, but yes.
That's how it's bloody supposed to work. So given that they're doing it online for the very first time, go and do that if you can, because they're not going to be sending people. Oh, there's my French alarm.
And quite honestly, guys, I don't know how long I'll have internet. Not that I can't pay for the internet, but my internet package is in my rent. So I don't know how long this shit'll be up. I know I'll always fucking put out videos. I'm gonna try, but I got my phone. But shit. I mean, we don't know how long this is gonna be. Like, I literally don't know. Will they waive rent? Will they allow us to pay for internet? Will enough people pay for internet for them to keep their internet service so I can stream to you guys? I don't know.
We're headed to somewhere. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, like, the moderate approximation so far, like, my profession is working as a substitute teacher currently. So, like, the modest estimate I've been given is about 6 weeks. But, I mean, I've heard figures as far as, like, 18 months.
All right, real quick, I do need to take off. Y'all have a good night. Immutable Destiny can stand in for me on the science stuff. So you guys are in good hands.
I'll try.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Dragnot, man. I didn't have enough
with us,
time
Drag.
to reach out to you, so I'm glad Allie did because I was like doing so much shit. Unemployment day, filing for unemployment.
Yeah, man. Hey, do what you got to do. All right, nice talking to you. I'll see you later.
All right, Drag. See you later, man.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Let's see.
Yeah.
If you want, I can. No, I have some more stuff with California now. So right now, basically 26 minutes ago, everything it says, the ordering, it's actually from the Director of California Department of Public Health. All individuals living in the state of California to stay home or at their place of residence except as needed. And then these are the things that are considered essential currently in California. And I would imagine that this list is going to shrink. Gas stations, pharmacies, grocery stores, banks, and laundromats. Interesting addition. So everything else is closed.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, Southern California, a lot of people don't have laundry facilities where they live, so I understand that actually. But
Yeah. This is by the way, this is the first of I believe 57 if I listen to Obama.
Guam is next.
Yeah.
But I
Joke.
within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think it was funny. I have been watching every day, as much as I can, all the different governors give their press conferences. And on Tuesday, I watched the West Virginia governor, Jim Justice, Big Jim, as Trump calls him, give his press conference. He's like, we don't have any cases in West Virginia. Everything is fine. Nobody has it here. Do what you need to do. The very next day, West Virginia was shut down.
So Nook, by the way, Rilla just said that she would like to come in to talk about disability rights at some point. So be watching down in the bottom there for her to be popping in.
All right. Cool. Yeah. This shutdown, like people just don't. I think I try to explain this to my daughter, and I'm trying to explain to her why she really can't go outside. And today, my brother brought us groceries because they really don't want me going out too much because of my immune system. So she comes out and he, he got a little loud and did not mean it to because he loves her. He's like, that defeats the whole purpose. What are you doing out here? It's
sure.
She just didn't quite understand
being like
it.
outside itself is necessarily the problem. It's just being close to somebody who might be a carrier.
Exactly. And he was just in a grocery store and honestly, he didn't even want me out there. He was going to drop this shit at my door and let me know that it was there. And I'm just so stir crazy right now. I can't sit in here. I just can't. I'm like, oh, my brother's going to outside. I'm going to go outside now. My daughter happened to follow me. He flipped out. Like people are just, it's all across the board, man. Like we've never went through this before. Like every other scare we've had, it didn't really turn out to be too serious.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. Yeah. What's up, Rella?
Woohoo! I actually have a headset that works.
I'll be right back. 1 second. Go ahead.
Funny that's what I came in on after shutting off YouTube. I kind of have to giggle. Not that any of this is actually funny, but as somebody who has an immunocompromised system, welcome to my hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we live with somebody who's got an immunocompromised system.
Mm-hmm.
He's got liver failure, so we've been taking every precaution ever, and it was quite terrifying when I got sick.
Yep. This is my daily life. I live because I'm semi-housebound, I go to the grocery store once a week, and I go to my doctor's offices. That's it. Unless somebody takes me out on a leash, so to speak, out and about, this is pretty much my life. So my
Oh, I think we lost you, Rilla. I think we lost you. Yeah, I always thought I was a homebody. I always thought I was somebody that could stay inside, and it could just be like a consequence of knowing I need to and I have to, and being told that I have to. But I have not felt this stir crazy since I was locked up. I'm going crazy in here.
Well, the good news is that if you were still locked up, they'd likely let you out right now.
Yeah.
Which is just freaking the fuck out of some of these. Like,
Yeah, basically anybody who was put in for a non-violent crime has been released.
so basically people that sell weed then, right? That's what we're releasing? Is that?
Well, and white collar crimes, like I know SCORE, which is that's a high security prison for medium risk people. So think like white collar crimes, tax evasion, fraud, things of that nature. All of them were released recently because they were concerned about potential COVID contamination. Rilla, are you back?
They rich.
Maybe? Theoretically?
Your audio quality is terrible, but we can hear you.
Yeah, hang on. I'm having technical issues. Mute me for a second while I figure out my wife.
All right. I believe that Nock would have to be the one to do that. I didn't set the room up.
Figuring it out. All right. So I muted her. I'll be right back. I'm just checking to hopefully my daughter's sleeping. I'm gonna go check. I'll be right back.
So, as a fellow Pacific Northwester, I will say I'm quite proud of how the government of Washington has handled this. We made sure that COVID testing was available pretty quickly. We quarantined people pretty much immediately. And when people started dying in that assisted care facility, all of the families who had visited those people in the previous 2 weeks were quarantined as well. So we did everything we possibly could, especially at the beginning, to try to contain this.
Yeah, and the state did a great job, in my opinion, as well, and didn't report any new cases for a few days there. I know that the past couple of days has kind of ticked up a little bit, but no, it could have been in Washington. What we do see, because of where it wasn't in the rural part of Washington.
It was right in the heart of King County.
Yeah,
Right.
It could be what we're seeing in New York right now, which is skyrocketing. It could be what we're seeing in California. Texas today had there's a corgi getting mad at that. I understand. Had Texas is flying up there now as well. And I think that Washington is an example of what to do. I was actually under the impression that they were going to seal off Washington. I thought they were going to. And I was sitting here, and Susan can tell you, I was like, that'd be a smart thing to do. And now we see that it's probably going to happen in California. I have no idea what all that's going to do with people coming in or leaving the state of California. But
Well, and, one of the things that I've noticed is that we did shut down most non-essential businesses. There's not orders for factories and such to close. However, a lot of the larger companies, particularly like Costco and Boeing, have been working directly with our Department of Health to be able to get screening services for high-risk populations. Like, for example, Boeing and Renton had 3 cases that were diagnosed recently, and they went through every coworker who could have been in contact with those 3 cases and had them self-isolating. They're paying for their sick leave. They cleaned all of the high-touch areas and everything, and they're thinking about shutting the factory down. So even our companies are taking this seriously. If I recall correctly, Trader Joe's also put out that they're going to be offering 2 weeks of sick leave to anybody who comes into contact with somebody with COVID. You don't even have to be diagnosed.
I do have a little bit of breaking news, actually. Senator Richard Burr was not the only senator to dump off a bunch of stocks and make a bunch of money in the weeks before coronavirus. Senator Kelly Loeffler also did that. She's
Imagine my
Republican
shock
from Georgia.
Isn't Georgia one of the states that's refusing to properly respond?
are they? Is their governor Republican? If so,
Yes, that I do know. Yes.
I'm not trying to make it political. In fact, I hope the government gets this shit under control, because we'd all be better if they do. But every single one of these fuckers is a Republican.
Well, and it
Hold on,
is political. Like people
Hold
don't
on, I
want it to
have
be
one
what
more.
it is.
I'm sorry, I have
Come
two
on.
more. People are digging right now. Senator Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma, also Republican, and Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, also a Republican.
Inhofe.
It's a headache. But to Nathan's point, like this is inherently political because one party has fought against science, one party has fought against healthcare, one party backed an imbecile president, and it's really hard to get an impeachment, but you think you could get at least 4 Republicans to be decent human beings and be like, yeah, he's a fucking idiot, he shouldn't be in the office. They allow this to happen. From what some of the things that I've read, this could actually get a lot worse. Like this could just be the start of more serious diseases cropping up, and we better get our shit together and be able to handle this shit, because luckily this could have been a lot worse. Like, imagine something along the likes of Ebola and this would have happened, right? Like that would be catastrophic.
So, just an update for Georgia, 287 confirmed cases, 10 coronavirus deaths. Their entirety of their Senate is currently being encouraged to self-isolate, but there is no mandate that I can find anywhere from the state to shut down non-essential businesses. In other words, it's going to rapidly spread there.
And people need to take initiative. Like, even if your state isn't shutting down, stay at home. And I read an article, I can't remember the Harvard law professor, I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal, about how employers can actually be liable for this. I mean, he's a lot smarter than me. Go find that article. It was brilliant, but like it really educated me. Like, and I told my boss, and the next day the governor shut us down. But I'm like, you might want to look into this because employers can be liable if you're not taking precautions to protect your workers, and you're making them come in a situation like this.
So it looks like a bunch of their counties have declared states of emergency, but the state government has done absolutely nothing apart from saying maybe people should self-isolate.
They will. It'll be too late, but they will.
So let me get this straight. Their congressperson knew enough to dump their stocks, and yet it's not important enough for the governor to shut the state down.
Yep. That's correct.
I mean, we have at least journalistic evidence that the president didn't issue tests because he was afraid that a lot of positive tests would hurt his reelection. I mean, that alone should just be outrageous. It should be on every fucking tongue in this country, and he should be condemned wholeheartedly across the board, and nobody talks about it.
By the way, Senator Ron Johnson, one of the ones that dumped stock, said this recently, quote, "I'm sure the deaths are horrific. It's obviously devastating to 1 to 3.4% of the population, but we don't shut down our economy because tens of thousands of people die on the highways or because people die from the common flu."
Yeah, and I did the math on that, by the way. I did the math, and because he's from Wisconsin, right? And if we looked at that percentage of people in the state of Wisconsin,
have a good one, Immutable.
Bye, Immutable.
Yeah, see you later, man.
All right.
So we've got another open spot on the panel. Feel free to DM me on Discord or knock on Twitter or by email if you want to jump in.
I actually got them both open. Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, I gave up on the headset. I've just got you guys on my regular headphones. Sorry. Taking the tech.
I looked at it, and it's the let Susan in. It is that number is like 1.04 million or something like that. And I went and I did the math, and as it turns out, in the state of Wisconsin, that's how many people that are over the age of 60 live in the cheese state.
Hey, Nathaniel, if you'd like to send Susan a link, all you have to do is copy that StreamYard link that I sent you and send it to her, and we can let her in.
Oh, you sent me that?
Yes. Or actually, I think Knox sent it to you. So the StreamYard link that Knox sent to you.
Nice. Yeah, I can do that. But
yeah,
I sent the link to everybody else in the panel. So
yeah, and
somebody else can do it.
Being political with this, I'm going to do that anyways. Republicans should be most concerned about this because old white people vote for you.
Yes.
Nobody else on the planet does. Again, that's not a reason to stop something just so you can be reelected. But if you're going to be a selfish piece of dog shit, there's a reason.
Yeah, and a pretty good one. And I've spoken of this, like before the shutdown, most of the people you'd actually see out in the restaurants, eating, being outside of the grocery stores, because everybody was going to the grocery stores, was like older folks. They literally gave no fucks about this whatsoever. It's like it's just another thing. I'm gonna die anyway.
Most of them were being spoon-fed misinformation by Fox News, though. If we're
Yeah,
going to
they
go all
watch
the way
Fox
there,
News. Yeah, and I mean,
if
you
we're going to
could
go
see
there,
it.
we might as well go all the fuck the way there.
I
right?
never really correlated that, and that is it. They all watch Fox News, like that's Fox News's base, and yeah. So I mean, I saw it in my personal life. I saw it. I work in the public. 85% of the people coming in for a week before the shutdown was over the age of 60 years old. Gave no fucks.
So it looks like Susan tagged with her Twitter thing. Did you send one, Nathaniel, or should not go send that?
I just sent it.
Okay, so sweet. So not keep attention down there. But Rilla is back. So and your camera's working. It sounds like your microphone is working. So do you want to talk a little bit about disability rights and the concerns for disabled individuals currently? Because I know that that's your entire shtick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I made a crack about, welcome to our hell, but earlier before, my headset decided to be a complete poot head, because, pagans and tech and the gremlins have to make an appearance when there's more than one pagan on the stream.
They like to make their appearance when I'm just hanging around.
Okay,
right?
bye, Mandy. I can't do this right now.
Like, Gremlins are very much a feature of the channel. They've infested the whatever server box this channel is currently hosted on.
Right. One of the interesting things I have noticed is people who need things like masks, like me, whether it's for an immunocompromisation or if they need it for pollen, for their asthma, they can't get the shit they need.
I've seen posts and stuff on Facebook regarding that, and like especially immunocompromised children and hand sanitizer, because immunocompromised kids, whenever they come into contact with anyone, people need to hand sanitize.
Yeah, I've been railing at the horde buying. It's a lack of consideration for your fellow human beings, and I understand survival instinct, but I mean it is way out of control. Stores should have a limit, and stores should be really considerate of items that people actually really need. I don't know how you take care of that, but I've been railing about that for about 2 weeks now, personally.
So I know in Texas, the main grocery store is HEB.
I got really
amazing. They're sort of like limiting what people like, how many of the stuff that people are, having the run on. They're limiting how many of each item people can buy. Which is like, everybody's just all like, holy shit, HEB, you are the literal greatest. And man, I miss HEB.
Well,
when
even,
that's what we should be doing.
Fred Meyer,
except for the people that want to hoard.
So Fred Meyer is up here. I'm sure that folks in the Pacific Northwest know what I'm talking about. It's like Walmart, but Union and a lot more expensive.
You have a Meyer there?
Meyer is owned by the same parent company as Fred Meyer.
Kroger. It's Kroger.
Yeah, it's owned by Kroger. Both are owned by Kroger. But Fred Meyer used to be its own chain before Kroger bought them out.
I know.
And they, like, we went there and I saw somebody, no joke, with 15 gallons, or they were like either 1 gallon or 2 gallon containers of apple juice in their freaking cart.
I do all my shopping at Meyer, I haven't been able to find chicken. I got really lucky to get hamburger, but no chicken for like weeks.
But like 15 fucking gallons of apple juice. I saw somebody doing something similar with like canned sweet potatoes. The canned section was stripped completely bare with the exception of canned sweet potatoes, canned peas, and green beans. of all things, like French cut green beans. There were a shitload of them on the shelves. And weirdly enough, despite the meme that's been going about, the pineapple pizza section was completely stripped bare, but there were a bunch of Supremes that were left in the frozen pizza section.
So you live with evil people? What?
Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm going to tell on myself.
That's demonic.
I was just tested just in time for all of this horse hockey to hit. I was just tested for leukemia. Negative, thank goodness. But I did test. I did test positive, very low numbers for ANA lupus. That doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. Testing low numbers for ANA lupus doesn't necessarily mean I have lupus. What it does mean is my body presents with the antibodies. What that also means is the antibodies can screw with my body, which means I also have to keep an eye on my temperature. Well, apparently every thermometer in my house has gone AWOL. So guess what I get to go try to find tomorrow on payday?
Oh no!
Oh shit! Oh god! Yeah, you're good. I haven't actually tried, so I don't know, but I would imagine that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, I was dreading the idea of trying to find like some hydrogen peroxide or something. Yeah, that's
like
gonna be.
anything.
Oh, I've got plenty of that. That's a staple in this house. That's a staple in this house. I've got plenty of that.
Well, and there's all these people that are like, Lysol wipes say they kill coronavirus, and it's like,
no, they don't.
It's a, coronavirus is an entire family of viruses. We don't really know what destroys this one, apart from maybe rubbing alcohol because it destroys the coating on the outside. That we do know.
I'm like two steps away from boarding up everything, sealing every crack.
We know soap does. Hold on.
I've got plenty of Clorox wipes too. I'm good on that.
But if you can wash
I've got plenty of Clorox wipes. I'm OCD.
If you can wash surfaces with warm water and some soap and some soap, it works just as well as it works on your hands. The soap destroys the coating on the virus and it can't hang on. It's not there's no perfect way, right?
Well, I hadn't even thought about that. I think that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Just soap and water.
Soap and water. If it works on your hands, it's going to work on surfaces. Or light yourself on fire. Like if you coat yourself in gasoline, light yourself on fire, you will be virus free.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
You'll be free of a lot of things.
So. For the next 3 minutes, you're virus free.
Absolutely.
Progressive, darling. I live by myself. I am housebound, and I can't stand up for more than about 15 minutes at a time. So being able to scrub down with soap and water entirely
I was just joking.
Well, yes, I know, but that brings me to the point of somebody who's perfectly healthy and able can absolutely do that. That is a
Rilla, can I interrupt you really quick? Nathaniel is asking to speak and say something before he has to go. Apparently,
go for it, darling.
Apparently, he needs to get going.
Yeah, they're
the loud roommates.
They're dick face motherfuckers. So, real quick, it's a great time to be a vegan. All that food is still there.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of that in my freezer right now that I'm not going to eat.
Yeah, it's mine.
all
I
your
had to leave
fault.
it in Texas. But if you don't know how to properly disinfect your phones, see, they don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care.
That's fine.
If you don't know how to properly disinfect your cell phone, which I recommend, you can send me a DM. I'll tell you exactly how to do it. I wrote it in like 3 steps. So
microwave.
You did.
Microwave's not the one. No, as it turns out.
I heard that's how you charge the battery really fast.
Well,
I've
sure.
heard that's how you do that.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Put it on high, 5 minutes.
By the way,
I heard that's how you dry it out if you get it wet.
Because I had it on mute, Susan.
I can't wait until you're up here and we can meet up sometime to go fossil hunting. That'll be fun.
I know, I'm excited for that.
We're going on the mountains pretty much as soon as I get there, and he's got the day.
As long as we're not locked down.
Yeah, that'll be.
By the way, the CDC does have a list of things that work. As long as it has like more than 50% alcohol in it, it'll be fine. And don't put industrial cleaning agents on your hands. Just
Yes, don't do that.
But if you do not know how to properly disinfect your cell phone, you can send me like a link or tag me on Twitter at Atheist Husker. I will tell you. It's super easy. So
I'm going to DM you on Twitter because we need to have another convo, you and me.
sure, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Love you, Susan.
Love you, baby.
Oh, you
Yeah,
guys
thanks for
are
stopping by.
adorable. Well, thank you so much for hanging with us for a bit, Nathaniel. And
But yeah, thanks, Knock.
seriously, like, shoot me a DM when you get up here, and we will make arrangements to stay 10 feet away from each other at the fossil sites, because I know where several of them are, and they're driving distance from where I currently live.
Shit, I might even move to Oregon. Healthcare.
I'm getting in my car right now. We're all going to live on a mountain. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I like that idea.
And Stephen Smith, you do make a good point. I don't think it's overblown madness, but I don't want to perpetuate panic. I just think that people need to be safe and listen to the scientists, and I think that we'll get through it, but just don't be stupid about it, and don't be in large numbers, because we've never seen this before. But I don't want to participate in spreading panic. I just really want to talk about the shutdown and like going manic up in the house and all that. But yeah, good point. But
So,
I
like,
think it's
I would
smart
like
to
to
listen
point
to
out,
it and
though-
definitely isolate right now, because we just don't know too much about this, and it's getting really, really bad.
Well, and I would like to point out, it is true that 1 to 3% of people does not sound like a lot. However, the problem is twofold, as we pointed out earlier. Number one, we don't want everybody to get it at once, because then that 3% is guaranteed to die, because there will not be enough
I mean,
healthcare
hospitals are already
available for
overrun
them.
and lacking supplies already, so we have to put a curb
Yeah,
in it.
so this, in terms of the panic buying, that is correct. That is a problem. However, in terms of the level of concern that people have for themselves and their loved ones, this is 20 to 40 times more potent than the flu. People comparing it to the flu and calling it calling it overblown and all these other things, that is misinformation. It is extremely misleading to post the coronavirus death tolls alongside the flu death tolls, because we've been tracking the flu for a lot longer than we've been tracking coronavirus. We have effective treatments for the flu. There is no proven effective treatment for coronavirus. We have herd immunity to many strains of the flu. The coronavirus is entirely novel. We have vaccines that we can develop for many strains of the flu. There is no vaccine for coronavirus and will not be for another year. Concern and caution are expected, panic is not, and I believe that it is perfectly reasonable for somebody to be concerned that they or their loved ones may get very, very ill as a result of this, because even though the majority will not, it's not you're concerned for.
Yeah, and I don't think he was saying that. Just be safe, and so this isn't as Ali was saying, some overblown issue. The issue here is, honestly, the idiot that was elected in office dropped the ball, and they didn't take this seriously. We should have been doing this months ago, and they should have been on top of it months ago. They should have been producing the PPE needed for our doctors and nurses to carry out their duties. They should have seen this pandemic coming. They should have been prepared, because we've had many, many new illnesses crop up recently. We've dealt with it. Trump got rid of the pandemic response team. There's so much information here. Our government dropped the ball, and now we're playing catch up. So a little bit of panic is needed, but at the same time, like the overblown panic is going and buying all the fucking toilet paper so your next door neighbor can't. I mean, they have to use their fucking sock or whatever the fuck they're using. It's not right. The hand sanitizers, just be conscious of your fellow human beings.
Nobody knows.
Can somebody
what's going on with the toilet
please?
paper.
Okay, guys, I am on 800 bloody milligrams of magnesium a day.
Oof.
Okay, at least somebody here knows what that does to the body.
Yeah.
Okay. I am on so much magnesium that it put my body into a vitamin D deficiency. Okay. Okay, and I don't need that much toilet paper. What's with
Nobody
the toilet
does,
paper?
like-
Nobody does.
So somebody tagged me
I'm
to
using the
point out-
cheap ass toilet paper that I get from the convenience store next door because I can't go to Meijer and buy the good shit. I just can't.
So, Fourth Dimensional Jake points out the flu relates to several strains versus one strain of COVID-19. It's like the crime rate of a city or state is comparable to a serial killer.
Yeah, we just don't know, and that's the scary thing about this is they should have known. They should have been in there. They should have been in Wuhan as this shit was breaking out. And instead, he called it a Democratic hoax, and his fucking apologizers called it a Democratic hoax, and now we're all locked in our houses. So, I mean, we can't let people forget that. We just can't.
Well, and I actually wanted to bring up something else. PL or Susan, if you guys would like to jump in on this. Did you all hear about the big scandal involving Trump bribing the German company to move that was developing a vaccine to move their research here to the US?
Yeah, we talked about this on the show the other night. Yeah.
So would you like to go ahead and brief the audience on it? Because I know some of us have been self-isolating from COVID news a bit, but I was reading this when I was in the hospital.
I did. I've been playing Elder Scrolls.
Susan, you want to go?
No, I was just saying I've been sort of self-isolating from the
gotcha.
news just because I'm type 1 diabetic, so everything is horrible for me at the moment.
Yeah.
So is my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, and I have deficient immunity. So if I pick it up and she gets it, then I mean, I'm terrified. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the immunocompromised liver failure, gentlemen. His hemochromatosis killed off his pancreas. He's also type 1 diabetic.
Oh, bless him.
So type 1 diabetic and on the liver transplant list, we are very much doing everything in our power to protect him.
Yeah. That's rough. Real rough. Sorry, PL, didn't mean to totally interrupt you there.
Right. So, this is what happened. I mean, you explained it pretty well off the top, but Trump called some scientists in Germany and said, listen, we know you guys are working on a vaccine. We want you to come to the United States and make it here and make it available only to Americans, and we'll pay you a bunch of money for it.
Yeah.
And their response was a gigantic middle finger, and their response that
so imagine this is Trump, right? So imagine this is Trump, and they went like this. They went, no.
And then released a press release revealing that this happened and stating that they wanted their research to benefit the whole of Europe and not just one single country because they wanted to protect their fellow countrymen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's atrocious behavior, but this is what we're stuck with, and we can't let people forget it. I mean, that's what it all comes down to, and I hope that they're serious now. I mean, I don't know how serious you can be when you literally put the man in charge of it, calls his wife sister, mommy, whatever he calls her, because he's a deeply fundamental Christian. I mean, I read a news report. I don't know how accurate it is, where Mike Pence was literally like, people need to get off the internet and get on their knees right now, like talking about right now. How seriously do you take it when the vice president that you openly mock for his deeply fundamental religious beliefs? I mean, that story's been out since the beginning. When you put him in charge of it, I don't know. I hope they're taking it seriously, but obviously we have to take it seriously ourselves.
Well, did y'all hear about what with Kenneth Copeland on his show the other night?
I did. I covered that shit. Yes.
Yeah. It's like he's like reaching through the television and saying, "I'm gonna heal you," and anointing oil and blah 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 and all this stuff, and it's like,
oh, that's what was on his hand. We were making jokes.
Paula Jones, the religious advisor to the president of the United States, was talking about Corona and how you could send her money to get a prayer or some shit or another.
No,
I mean,
we watched the video the other night on my show. So she said,
"Yeah, go for it." Yeah, tell me.
She said, we've got a coronavirus hospital. Well, it's not a hospital. It's not a physical hospital. It's a hospital for your soul. And she's like rubbing her womb, and she's like,
so disgusting. Yeah.
She goes, she's rubbing her womb, her 80-year-old womb, and she's like, you can put a $91 seed in.
The seed, yes.
Or a $9 seed. She's like rubbing her ovaries. I was so creeped. I'm like, fuck you, bitch.
Nasty.
It's so funny how she's always like, so I don't preach prosperity gospel and blah blah blah, and then she does stuff like
That's
that.
exactly
it's
what
like,
she
yes,
does.
you do preach prosperity gospel, Paula.
She might be one of the richest.
hold on real quick, because we've been talking about bad news all night. I'm going to show this to you. This is my summons for jury duty on Monday. It's canceled.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no jury duty.
I don't have to go to jury duty on Monday. I can throw this away.
I mean,
Alright,
I'm a
so
murderino,
Puff,
so I would want to go to jury duty.
I mean, I do. I wanted.
Okay,
I
so
told my wife
guys-
that. I was like, I kind of want to go because, like, my nose-
Puff has posted a few times in the side chat. He has
Oh,
something
sorry.
that he wants to bring up.
Oh,
Yes,
go for
I'm
it,
so
Puff.
sorry.
Hey, I've stepped out of my moderator role, so I haven't
Oh,
been
yeah,
controlling
sorry.
the conversation at
Yeah,
all.
I brought Puff in. What's up, Puff? Sorry.
Oh no, it's no problem. I'm not tripping too much. So the run on TP, it came from this, is that there was misinformation about how the U.S. gets their supply of toilet paper. Right? There was confusion that it was mostly sourced from abroad, so and mainly from China. So the concern was that because China basically shut down shipping internationally, so they could run through all their ports and basically test all the containers and test all the ships that were going out, that there was going to be concern that basically there was going to end up being a shortage on it anyway. So late stage capitalism kicked in and everybody said, I got to get mine before everybody else does
Well,
theirs.
I
And
have I have news for everybody. This is called cloth, and it's washable.
Well, even better,
Just let you know, you can wash these things.
for $20
Or socks that have holes in it.
on,
I mean, come on.
for $20 on Amazon, they sell a universal kit that all you have to do is just literally turn off the tap that goes to your toilet, unscrew the pipe, put the thing on there, screw the
You get
pipe
a
back
bidet.
on, and you squirter bidet ready to go. Europe's been using them for half a century or better, and it saves them on a lot of toilet paper, so that works.
And remember, I tell this to my 3-year-old all the time. A clean butthole is a happy butthole.
Yes.
And
I must be,
also,
like, I must be really old.
especially if you have
because-
to use the bathroom a lot, like you do have diarrhea, a bidet is far better for your back end than toilet paper 10
I have
times a
been
day.
considering one. I have been seriously considering one.
Some of the people in my sloppy mechanics group have gone to the level of just going to the store and buying a $10 kitchen sprayer and just running that off there. So that kind of works too. Although I call that power washing. That's a little aggressive for me.
Sometimes you gotta
somebody in the
use
chat the
redneck
other day.
ingenuity.
Somebody in the
But
chat the
I-
other day was like, just why you need all the toilet paper? Just take a shower.
So,
Yeah.
Doc, I
But-
do want to address something else from the chat because I feel that it's
Anything.
special pleading a little bit, and I also feel like there's a bit of whataboutism. So I wanted to address something about our criticisms of Trump. Stephen Smith says, Stephen Smith up here said, I know that he did, again, not perfect, but I believe he has done well. We could argue politics all day. At the end of the day, a lot of places downplayed the virus. PL, you have a background in politics. Would you like to make a comment on this?
I
Just
do.
as objectively as you humanly possibly can.
Okay, I will. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Fourth Dimensional Jake because he was my first patron ever, and he
Yeah,
he
Fourth
addressed me in the
Dimensional
chat.
Jake has been here since the beginning.
Yes, and I want to talk to him real quick. He says you cannot wash the cloth if you do not have money for the laundry or it's closed, and that's a great point. And I will take it. What was your question again?
Point
Because now I
conceded.
forgot.
Okay, so the response was there's a discussion in the chat going on about it looks like we've got a Trump supporter in the chat. And by the way, if you'd like us to make some room for you, we can have somebody come in to try to defend the president's actions because we've been looking for somebody to come in and talk to us about him on the pro side for a very, very long time. But he said
I will happily step out.
so this is a discussion that's going on in the chat between Tony Designs and Stephen Smith. He said Tony made a comment about how he fucked up, and Stephen says, I know he did, again, not perfect, but I believe he has done well. We could argue politics all day. At the end of the day, a lot of places downplayed the virus. You've got more coverage in politics than I think most of us. Would you like to comment on, again, the way that this was handled from the beginning, how long it took him to respond, and compare that to some other countries that we've seen? Maybe kind of let's dig into this a little bit.
South Korea, as of this morning, has done about 350,000 tests. The United States has done about 25,000. The end. There you go. That's my entire statement. I'm done.
Yikes.
And no country has downplayed it like our president did. The thing is, other countries were like Italy was slow to react to it, and that's why they're in the situation they're in. But there's no country that has downplayed it as much as they did, like our president did. And in no comparable way has that happened.
Do you know?
Even the argument.
Wait, hold on, because
go ahead and then I'll go
real quick before I forget. Do you know the first country to step up and unite the rest of the world in researching a vaccine? Do you know who it was? Does anybody know?
No.
France.
Oh, crud. Yeah, I was going to say.
It was France. It was France who decided to have that meeting and call all of those people together. Not us, not Trump. That was when it was hold on. It was the day after, I believe, he said it's a miracle and it'll all go away. Or it's like a miracle, it'll go away.
Well, yeah, and you know, I feel free to pipe your opinion in the chat. Just don't use any slurs. That's our main rule. Please feel free to do that. But like even it's taken out of context, and you know, like overall Trump has done well. Well, no, since the tax cuts, we have screamed at the top of our lungs that he has gutted our national system. Our national debt has skyrocketed. One of the major criticisms they had of Obama, and they just ignored it with Trump. And our economy, though it appears the stock market has done well, has been very fragile since he's had his trade wars and all the stupid shit he's done for the last 3 years. We have been walking on eggshells, our economy has, despite the great numbers coming out of Wall Street, because guess what? Rich people did really well with their tax cuts. They did really well for themselves.
Real quick,
but we didn't. Normal people didn't, and this shit has been just waiting to burst, and he wasn't prepared for it. That's
he wasn't.
Fucking
no
problem.
one was. No one was. So backpacking off of that, Congressman Ted Lieu just put this out. Last week there were 281,000 unemployment claims. 281,000. Next week there's expected to be 2,250,000.
Oh yeah. I mean,
in one week. In 1 week.
Dude, I've been trying. I have been literally trying to file for unemployment here in Michigan all day, and the servers has been down. Like I think I've got like half of it saved to take up tomorrow because it's just been difficult and it was frustrating and I didn't get shit done and I was fucking aggravated. But you know what? It's like everybody's filing for unemployment right now, and they're doing it from their homes on their computer, and it's bogging their server.
And The tweet of Congressman Ted Lieu was about the fact that a $1 trillion stimulus is not going to be enough. He believes it needs to be $3 trillion, and I agree with him.
Well, and to give Trump a little bit of credit here, Trump is saying, well, this is just now. I think he's saying in 2 months now they're going to take it up again. Well, you know, I'm sorry, $1,200. That's 1 month. That's 1 month's rent if I have to pay rent. What happens in that second month before the second stimulus comes if Republicans will actually back it at that fucking point? So yeah, I agree. Like it needs to be now. We need to agree to a whole plan now for the immediate future. We're going to be locked down 8 weeks. Let's do a 2 month plan now.
So, Naka, what you're saying is it's almost like we need to be basing cost of living analyses on data that's newer than the 1970s.
Oh, maybe. You know, I mean, they're all rich. They don't understand what poor folk go through.
I mean, what a novel concept there, Allie.
Right.
I want to address what Maya just said about Trump having a higher unemployment rate than Obama. So I was thinking about this in the car today, Maya. It's funny that you brought that up. Here's what you'll see in a year-ish. You will see Republicans say that Trump did everything he could over 3.5 years to prop up the terrible economy that Obama created, but he just wasn't able to. He just wasn't able to do anything about Obama's terrible economy over 3.5 years.
Goddamn Chinese.
And they will
Thanks,
still
Obama.
blame Obama. I guarantee you they will still.
Yeah. It was Obama had such a terrible fucking economy. Trump would have saved it if not for those brown Chinese people.
You know, if Obama just had never been president, then Trump wouldn't have inherited his terrible economy and spent 3.5 years trying to fix it. But in the end, he just failed because Obama set up that will be their argument. And you will immediately do this and you will rub your temples and you will get exhausted within 3 seconds.
And then you'll realize that there's so many people who actually believe that.
Yeah, unless you're one of the 43% that believe it. Whatever that man says.
Yeah.
Whatever he says.
That will be their argument. I guarantee it.
And honestly, like Don Jr. is worse, and Don Jr. is just going to take up the mantle. I mean, these people are going to follow Don Jr. I guarantee it.
So we've got Nathaniel back in the chat.
Hi, Nathaniel.
Hi, Nathaniel.
So again, I'm going to extend the invitation. Rilla has offered to drop out, Stephen Smith. If you want to come on here and defend Trump and Trump's response to this, or his horrendous economic policies, or anything else,
and you only have about 30 minutes. I gotta go.
Well, yeah. We don't have too much time tonight, Ali. We're like closing out ish. We can go a little bit longer than usual, but like Steve, dog, I love. I would love to have a discussion, a civil discussion with somebody that actually supports Trump policy. I've tried to get them on here. I won't even be rage. Like I will make sure I'm very calm. And we'll
I will play moderator
discussion.
instead of having. I will play moderator if anything gets heated instead of being co-host the way that I have been.
Because
everybody here has seen me be completely fair to Christians and shut Knox face up when he was getting too aggressive.
I mean, because one thing about me,
that's
like
why he brought me on the channel.
I'm a politic dork, but I'm a policy dork, and I would love to have a discussion about Trump policy. The thing is, Trump defenders never want to talk about Trump policy.
Nope.
Well, I'm going to make good on my word. Susan Prolib, it was nice to be on the stream with you guys and meet you guys. Bye.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Nice to meet you as well. I'm going to take this opportunity to get on the soapbox that I wanted to get on when I first came in here, which is service industry, right? So,
please do.
One of the things that people don't realize right now is that one of the key industries that is being shut out right now is the HVAC industry, right? So even though it is my industry, it affects a lot of stuff. So right now we consider hospitals, grocery stores, delivery companies, these things to be essential, right? Well, guess what happens to a hospital if the HVAC or the refrigeration goes out?
Dude, I used to build HVAC systems for Denso Manufacturing. They're fairly vital across the board. Yeah, I agree.
So, and then what happens to a blood bank if the refrigeration goes out? They're done, right? Grocery store, if the refrigeration goes out, they're done.
Pharmacies.
Pharmacies, a lot of things in a pharmacy are kept refrigerated, right? Yep. So all these vaccines that we need, which right now there's
HVAC systems in your car.
Right. Well, those are in car mechanics are still being forced to go to work, but they have empty bays.
Oh, it's going to be shut down soon. I'm hearing in like 3 days here in Michigan, all factories are going to be shut down. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm hearing.
Right. But Ford's talking about we're going to step in and we're going to make these masks. Well, guess who's going to make those, right? Service industry people are going to make those masks, right? Well, they're going to work. They're going to spread this amongst themselves at least, and they're going to take it back home, right? Mm-hmm. But like mechanics, they're being forced to go to work, but they have no work, right? They don't get paid by the dealership to stand around or do anything. They get paid by the cars that they work on, and they have no cars to work on right now.
Sure.
But more than that, right? Right now, I live in Iowa. Even though it's mid-March, almost April, it's still cold outside. It's very cold, and it's very rainy. It's very bad weather.
That's how it is here, yeah.
So if like an elderly person's heat goes out right now, even if they call say they live in an apartment like I do, they call manager's going to tell them, we don't have HVAC technicians on our payroll. All we have is people that can do like your plumbing. They can fix like drains, doors, windows, stuff like that. We don't have certified HVAC people to do that. And like, I was just about to get hired on at a company. They had to call me back yesterday and say, hey, we got shut down by the governor. We can't hire you.
Well, it's the opposite here right now with, it's not like cold and wet and rainy and stuff. It's fucking hot outside.
Right.
It was like 80 something like in North Texas. Like it's supposed to be cooler tomorrow, but it's like when it gets hotter, probably next week, if AC goes out here, we're all up a creek.
So you want to know something interesting, though? Yeah. The only information I can find about HVAC being essential, apparently Pennsylvania put them on the essential services list, as did Washington. So some states have them on essential services.
Right. Well,
Bizarre.
federally, they're like nationwide. They're
Well-
not considered essential. Like right now, ASHRAE is trying, or I'm sorry, HRA is trying to get them put on the list nationally because of the fact that, like, say, like,
I just got an update from a friend of mine in California. Says that she's still employed and she works in HVAC.
well, like refrigeration, right? But like a lot of states it's shut down. So like certain states have included it because you think California they're going to do that, right? Because they're kind of smart, right?
Well, and they might now because Progressive just reported like they're shutting shit down right now. So,
but you know they're kind of smart. They're like, hey, you know, I think they understand, right? Like if a hospital is in a situation or a grocery store is in a situation, they have to have these technicians. So there are certain states I don't doubt, like Washington probably is going to stick it on. I think you said Washington. Certain states are going to stick it on there, right? Like I would assume that they would do it here too, but they didn't do that here.
well, even to your position, like we don't know how the economy is going to rebound from this, and will companies have the ability to hire on new people after all this is over? I think that's a very legitimate question. You should be concerned. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to have to deal with the fact, like maybe you know the place I work at won't be able to open back up their doors. I think we don't know how long this is going to last. If it lasts for too long, will there be enough stimulus for these companies that were barely paying their bills to open back up their doors? And maybe even larger corporations right at first will be scared to hire on new people. Maybe you'll still get to go through that temporary process for a little bit longer. Maybe not. Maybe they'll decide they need to make cutbacks. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen after all of this?
Yeah, because
Two
like
things.
sorry,
Two things. Two things whenever you're done.
Okay,
Sorry,
I was going to
my
say
bad.
the reason why a lot of these companies right now are really, like he said, scared that they're not going to make it through this crisis period is because new construction is being shut down left, right, and center. And if
Mhm.
they lose their ability with all these contract, like developers are real finicky like that, right? So once they start running up costs from not being done at a certain period in time, they will go ahead and just stop in the middle of construction and they'll just shut it down. And they'll say, you know what, we'll call our losses, we'll call it a bankruptcy, and we'll just take our bankruptcy insurance and walk away. And then the people that were depending on 146 houses to be built in a subdivision, now they don't have that money and their books are going to tank for the year. And they might have to, it's a family-owned business on a lot of these places. So like the one I applied to, it's a family-owned business. Granted, it was a pretty big business, but it's family-owned. They might have to shut down. Go ahead, sorry.
And the companies they support. But yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, Knox said you said a little bit ago. It was actually Nathaniel that had done the California stuff. I'm just giving credit where it's due. Two. So I used to host Geeks Who Drank, which is pub quiz, and it is based on you know, crowds gathering in order to actually play this quiz. They have hosts all around the country. They have an internal staff. You know, they have.
I have no idea what happened just then. It just decided to kick me out of the studio for some reason.
That's no good.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. So Geeks Who Drink is based a lot on it's not entirely a gig, but it is in that same sort of realm because it's like it's a side thing. It's not a main job for most people. So what they had to do, because so many bars and restaurants where they hold quiz were closing down, they ended up having to suspend quiz. So all of a sudden you have all of these quiz masters who are depending on that extra $200 to $400 a month in order to, you know, be able to make rent, car payments, whatever. They can't do it anymore. So what Geeks Who Drink had to do, they ended up having to suspend all operations, including laying off like the entirety of the internal staff. So that means every single person who was in editorial and management and, you know, any sort of executives and shit for Geeks Who Drink, which sounds a little weird, all of a sudden they're without a job because we don't have restaurants. It's, you know, it's so similar to.
It's more than just that. It's all these, you know, it's the restaurants themselves. It's that's places. Like the vast majority of restaurants that exist, even if you ignore franchises and, you know, like corporate restaurants,
the vast majority of restaurants that exist, it is the number one new business type that gets opened up both by immigrants and just in general. There's a high failure rate in the first year, but even established restaurants that have been there for 15, 20 years. My friend who owns a coffee stand, she's the person I mentioned who got exposed through a customer. She's only allowed to have walk-in pickups and deliveries and drive-through. Fairly soon, the governor's been talking about shutting that down even and not enabling delivery because there's a potential for propagation via delivery services and things if one of them catches it, because a lot of the delivery services also provide rides and stuff, so they have a high risk of being infected. The thing is it's not just about HVAC and construction workers. Every single industry in the United States is going to be affected by this. Every single one.
Yep.
Like,
Around the world, with the global
businesses,
depression
it's every single industry in the entire United States, every industry worldwide is going to be affected by this. My fucking husband, who works at a plane factory, is affected by this. They're looking at shutting the factory down.
I think it's quite. It would be somewhat irrational to think that the economies of the countries can just stop and that everything is gonna just start again, right?
Yeah, like it's naive to think that it's that
Stephen,
it's like, oh, it's gonna go right where it is.
All right, Stephen, if you're going to express these opinions and you're having difficulty with the chat, please DM either Nock or I, and we will get you a bloody link. Because at this point, I would like to talk to you directly.
One of the big things that drives the economy is what's known as consumer confidence, okay? Because our economy is not based on a commodity anymore. It's not backed by gold. It's what's known as fiat, or pretend, essentially.
It's worth something because we all say it is.
Exactly.
Correct. So consumer confidence is key to keeping the economy going. And what consumer confidence means is that consumers have confidence that they're going to be able to pay their bills, essentially. They're going to be able to go to work, get a paycheck, and afford the things that they're supposed to afford. Consumer confidence is gone. It is gone, and that is the engine. That is the engine that drives our economy. And it's
I don't see police on the streets here. Like I said, everything's very quiet. I'm actually scared. Like I said, people.
Naka, I'm about to quote you for a second. Let me say this. Naka actually, talked about that in his own way, from his own perspective as a consumer at the beginning of the stream, when he was talking about, I don't know if I'm going to have internet. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. I don't know if my landlord is going to pay for the internet for all of us to continue to have it. I don't know how many of my neighbors are going to be able to pay rent. And earlier on Twitter, I saw somebody who posted a note from their landlord saying that people should sell their things in order to pay rent, that should be the number one, and that they were going to be swift with evicting people at the complex who quote, drag down the collective that were living there. Like, did you see this too, PL? Because I saw this was a viral tweet that went up, but this person's landlord sent out messages to all of the people at their complex saying that they were going to be quick to evict anyone who drags the collective down, and that people should sell their things, tap their savings, tap their 401ks. If they don't have those things, borrow things from friends and family, sell your shit, do everything you can, pay your rent first before any other expense, starve if you have to, because they're going to evict anybody who doesn't. That is fucking disgusting.
And I have people that care for me that wouldn't allow that to happen for me personally. I have been assured of that, and it makes you feel better. But how many people don't? And that's not nationwide. Thankfully, that's probably this shitty fucking landlord here, and trust me, most governors are taking care of that shit. Most governors are actually on the ball. They saw that Trump wasn't doing it, so they did it themselves, and they're still continuing to do it. I'm not a big Gretchen Whitmer fan here in Michigan.
It's perfectly fine if they fight in the chat. Like, people can say whatever they want in the chat as long as slurs aren't being thrown around.
Yeah. Let them argue. Let them bicker. Stephen Smith, feel free to come on. I did want to address something. I forgot what I was going to address to him earlier. He's bitching about not being able to get a thought out in a side chat. That's called written text. That's why we have these voice chats here. If you want to get your thoughts out, come on. And get them
I will
out.
shut the hell up and let you go, bud. I won't interrupt you at all. Come in and say whatever you want.
Yeah, but to be honest, I want to address something that he said. Why are people going crazy over it? They need to calm down, get facts, learn to self-quarantine if exposed, and seriously get some common sense. Again, that sounds reasonable until you realize what it is you're fucking saying. Any one of us sitting in this panel right now could have it and be asymptomatic.
I'm fucking terrified that I have it right now, and I've given it to my type 1 diabetic daughter. And if she gets it, there's a good chance she won't live. You know,
I'm terrified that I could have had it, and that the cold that gave me my bronchitis possibly could have been it, and that currently my immunocompromised, because they didn't test me, my immunocompromised renter could potentially have it.
I'm still sick. I've been sick all winter long. I've picked up every illness I've come across because my immune system is so fucked up from me not taking care of the disease that I have, and I'm fucked from it. Like, I've literally fucked myself, and now I'm trying to get it right, and this comes along, and I'm fucking terrified. I'm not panicked. Like I said, I wasn't until the governor shut shit down. I wasn't really taking it seriously at all. I was pretty sick. Allie was telling me, like, don't go to work, go to a doctor, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to work. You know, this is a very serious situation right now. The country's never seen this before, not in the modern age. You know, not what, since fucking polio. I mean, the flu thing was a thing, but you know, come on. I mean,
Steven just gave you his email to send him a link.
Oh God, he's gonna make it hard on me.
All right, I got to use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Hey,
right,
so you definitely are going to have a platform. The progressive liberal in the stream is going to take a back seat for a half a second. By the way, Susan,
my camera's
swear,
been off because I've been smoking weed this entire stream.
I'm really jealous of you right now.
Have we met before on a completely unrelated topic? Because I swear that we've spoken before, but I don't remember.
All right. So we're gonna go long. We're gonna bring Steven on here.
I don't know.
Allie, no, Susan's been on here once before, Allie, and
I think I've been on with Nathaniel in the same room.
And I've been on their show twice, I believe. So you might have been in the chat when I was talking to them because you know you follow me.
It might have been. You might have been. You guys were in the same room, or you know, at the same time that we've talked before. Because, like, I recognized you, and I was like, I wasn't sure if I'd met this person.
It's like, hold on, she looks familiar. I also have that.
So, Allie, I need you to take that shoulder angel deal and send me that fucking Gmail. Somehow, some way, I think I've got Discord open.
Oh, that person is now he's saying no. I already said I can't come on tonight. Like I said, I have to have a heads up.
So he's telling me to email him in the future. That's even better. Copy that email down. I will email you tomorrow because I would actually rather have longer to have a civil discussion with you.
You
about
better
Trump.
not do this when I'm in fucking bed again. I'm gonna whoop your ass. I will team up with the devil to beat.
I've got all day now. Like I've got like fucking months. like patrons and real quick while we're right here, any patron in this time that would like to not be a patron, please take care of yourself. Come back to me when all this is over. Like seriously.
Agreed. I want to say that to my patrons too. Like, if you guys need to go take care of yourselves, go take care of yourselves. Don't skip a meal to give me a couple of bucks. Don't do that.
Please. I'll even make it a point to, like, if I do behind the scenes, just to put it on the regular channel or some shit for, or maybe my backup channel, just so everybody can see it still. But like take care of yourselves. If you can, if you still want to help out and you can, please do so. But seriously, like, shit is changing. Not gonna hurt my feelings. Come back when shit's better.
Right.
Okay. So
I want to get a thought out real quick. Hold on, real quick about freezing rent and utilities. I genuinely believe that the banks themselves are going to be pushing for this because they're about to enter a situation where a whole bunch of people can't pay their mortgages and rent all at the same time.
And they won't be able to pay for all those evictions, and evictions are considered a non-essential service anyway.
They're going to have to, or we're right back into the Great Depression all overnight.
Right. The banks themselves, I think, are going to push and say we want a moratorium.
I mean, motherfuckers on both sides of the extreme political spectrums have been calling for revolution for quite a while now. I don't think you want to push the normals there. Seriously.
So, Naka, I sent you that email address. It is currently just sitting there all by its lonesome in your DMs. So you have that currently there.
Well, also the banks. One of the big ways that banks make money is off their own accounts receivable. Bring that money in and then loaning it out at they can loan out 10 times of whatever they have. that rule is different for different things, but just generally it's about 10 times whatever they have
Well,
liquidity.
the problem is if they end up with a shitload of properties all at once that they can't offload because all of the people they just evicted obviously don't have the cash or the credit rating in order to purchase them back. Well, now that's a big fucking problem. And we're already seeing a version of that before coronavirus hit. And that was foreign investors, particularly from, ironically enough, China, picking up shitloads of property and sitting on it as sort of just cash, which caused it caused artificial housing bubbles in a number of cities, mine being the biggest one that was affected. Seattle's housing bubble actually outpaced all of California at one point because of all of these companies mass purchasing these properties
You didn't
and sitting on
know
them.
Trump opened up that whole subprime shit with those tax cuts. Like when I say like our economy's been walking on a fucking eggshells since Trump took office, I meant it. Like he opened the economy right back up to as much as he could to that old fucking school shit that they were doing. Real quick, like we will go to 11:30 tonight. I know Progressive needs to bounce out. I don't want to go too much longer, but I just wanted to put that in there. Like we can start closing down.
Yeah.
All right, so crickets. So here's an interesting thing. Tony Designs just provided from the Financial Times, U.S. drug maker doubled price on potential coronavirus treatment that was touted by Trump.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Trump is. I mean, even since he's taken it seriously, and I've got air quotes going, he said some really atrocious shit. I'm thinking about making a video about it, and don't know, just going crazy for a while because I got all this time.
So that's the article that was linked to. I put it in the private chat. I'm about to go put it in the regular chat.
All right. I guess we can start closing it down, Ali. I think it was a pretty good discussion. It's the Great Isolation, and it's just started. I do remember what I was going to say because we never really got to how the DNC insisted that we still have primaries continue in this crisis. And
that was the first thing that we talked to PL about wanting him to cover.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, it seems like socialism it might be the thing to save us here, and people might want to rethink that in future elections since you just voted out the closest dude to it, who's not a socialist. He's not. He's a social democrat.
One of the things that people have been saying to me on Twitter all day is, well, it's not socialism because there's no workers. Workers don't own the means of production. Okay, first of all, workers owning the means of production.
That's communism.
Well, it is communism. It's more Marxist than communist or socialist, but that also means a lot of different things. And like if we nationalized a business and the workers were taxpayers, then technically the workers would own the means of production. So owning the means of production is exceedingly complicated, but people like to dumb it down because it's just a couple of words and it's easy to understand. A. B, it's not socialism, it's social democracy. C, capitalism is never absent of socialism. Mm-hmm. The only time that capitalism is absent of socialism is when capitalism becomes something like an oligarchy, okay? So there is always some percentage of socialism in capitalism.
Yeah.
Because if you removed all of the socialism from capitalism, it wouldn't be capitalism anymore. It'd be fascism or oligarchy or one of those other kinds of extremes. You can't.
It would very quickly turn into that because might makes right and money makes might in a pure capitalist system.
Correct. And you can't ever remove all of the capitalism from socialism because then it becomes syndicalism or communism or whatever, depending on other structures that determine how the government around it is set up, or a narco-communism or something like that. So the two are married. They are part of the same system. It's all about degrees. And socialism keeps capitalism in check, and capitalism keeps socialism.
Yeah. You need both
moving forward.
You need both to be a productive society. You just do.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on what you mean by productive, right?
A mixture, just to even out the fucking playing fields. People should be able to get rich if you work hard. If you have a dream and it's a good dream, if you have an idea and it's just a really good idea, you deserve to benefit from that. But not at the expense of others, right?
Right. And I'm one of those people that believes that all work is equally valuable.
Well, I mean, people are finding out quite quickly just how difficult life is without basic service workers and, people being able to bring up their groceries and restaurants to go to and movie theaters.
Yeah, maybe have a little more appreciation for the fuckers you didn't appreciate so much before.
Right.
Yeah, maybe don't keep saying how they deserve to be paid minimum wage and, not something that's actually livable. Like, maybe pay them
maybe
exactly what I was going to say.
Arguing against a livable minimum wage.
Right. There is no reason, and there never has been, why we would ever have a job where the job didn't pay a living wage and didn't offer things like retirement and health insurance and all of those things that any job should carry, because corporations should have a social responsibility for taking care of the people that work for them and keep their businesses going. The issue is that we've infested our brains with this idea that there are jobs that aren't worth a living wage. Yeah. And that is not true. And I hope, my one hope is that, I'm going to be honest here. I think this is going to be really, 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 really bad. I believe that when all is said and done, over 100 million people are going to die worldwide. I know that sounds alarmist, but that's if 70% of the entire population of the Earth gets infected, you're looking at 163 million or so people dead. That's from Fiona Robertson, not me, and she would know. She's far more educated in science.
There is very much potential progressive. I agree with you. If you actually look at the numbers, it's kind of scary.
Yes. Hold on. Let me finish my thought real quick. My only hope is that if it does get that bad, that we change who we are as humans forever. And I hope that that is the eventual outcome.
And I hope if worst case scenario does happen, and I'll probably be a fatality, guys. So somebody take up that fucking mantle. Be that raging atheist, bitches.
Well, and Naka, you know that at the very least I will, and I hope that John will continue to carry on the channel. Like, I know people don't like me near as much as they like you.
I think I'm too stubborn to die, so we'll see.
Yeah, you're too stubborn to go in and get bloody fucking tested when you get sick too, aren't you?
I'll be honest. The person that I'm most partial to here is Puff. I'm just gonna be straight up.
I was gonna say, you guys are talking about the bailout money, right? So you want to know the sickest part about this whole thing is that Trump supporters now are saying, "Hey, look at you, stupid liberals!" Right? Trump's bailing you out. He's saving you with this, with gifting you this money, right? He's giving you his money, right? And I'm like, first of all, it's not his money. Second of all, he's not gifting it to anybody. Third of all, it's our tax money that's being given back to us for once. Right. Instead of going to the corporations that are these giant corporations, right? So for once in like a blue moon, they're giving us our money back.
Well, and they're not even giving us percentage-wise anything close to what he's trying to give these other groups of corporations.
Like, right, $1,200 for 2 months. Like, if that's what it turns out to be, that's not enough to pay a month and a half of rent, let alone food. No.
And remember this: the average price of a mortgage in the United States is $1,423 a month.
Ours is $1,700.
Sure.
And the other thing
is, by the way, ours is extremely low. Like, there are 2-bedroom apartments that are down the street from me that cost that much. That is a fixed rate mortgage that we got almost 10 years ago.
If
you were to purchase a house in this area again, then currently you'd be looking at a $2,400 to $2,700 mortgage.
Let me find the voice, Allie. Let me find the voice. That's because you live in a liberal snowflake state.
Yeah, where I live, my mortgage is fairly low, and it's $814 a month. So,
what I was
so what you mean, Nock, is that I live in an economically prosperous state.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Puff. Don't mean to cut you off. Earl came out there.
Yeah, it's no problem. But what I was going to say is that and there's even disingenuous liberals or people that refuse to call themselves leftists or whatever, they want to distance themselves from leftists, like Destiny, right? That are saying, oh well, this doesn't what the money that these corporations are getting, this $1.9 trillion in money that they're getting, right? It doesn't compare because it's a loan that they're getting. And I like to remind people that on this over $1 trillion that they're getting in quote unquote loans, the federal government's only going to make $50 billion in interest. That is 0.05% interest. If you can get a loan in America that's at 0.05% interest, tell me where that bank is. I'm on the way right now.
And there's nothing, literally nothing, preventing the Fed from offering $1.5 trillion in interest-free or near interest-free loans to normal people.
Right.
And will they make all these businesses pay them back as they did the auto industry?
That's
pay them back by buying stocks. Isn't that
Yeah, all those stock buybacks really fucking them in the ass now, ain't it?
Well, Progressive can speak this a little bit better than I can, but I only know about this because I've listened to some economists. But there's a thing that they've been doing during this administration they've been really quiet about, right? And what that is they're taking...
pussies? Oh, sorry.
Well, come on, man. I hate that, man. The pussy is literally the strongest organ in the body, man.
I know.
But anyway, it's a hero to me. It saves my day. Right? Anyway, so anyway.
Yeah, I thought we done covered it all on A Raging Atheist.
I'm sorry, but no.
Well, and here's something that I want to point out, though, is we were talking about the minimum wage a moment ago, and I've got ADHD. I'm going to lose this fucking thought because we're getting to the point where my meds are going to start kicking out.
Yeah, we got to close. We'll let Puff finish, but go ahead, Ellie.
One of the big things that people ignore is that keeping the minimum wage low currently is itself a form of government subsidy on big businesses. Currently, the Walton family and the Walmart Corporation are the #1 subsidiaries of government intervention. They have literal, pamphlets for how to apply for government assistance because they refuse to pay for these things for their employees. And that is those social welfare programs for all of those people that you guys are, claiming that it's so fucking terrible. They're actually subsidizing these big companies. That is ultimately what keeping the minimum wage low and not doing genuine cost of living national surveys and things since the 1970s or 80s. Don't quote me on that, but that's the last time it was done. That is what that's doing. All they're doing is they're subsidizing things to push up the money to stockholders and to take it, out of taxpayer pockets, so to speak. If we raise the minimum wage, those businesses would be forced to pay those things. And even with a friend who has a small business, I'm going to say this from a personal position, and I'd love to hear anybody speak up, but any business that cannot afford to pay their employees a minimum wage does not deserve to exist. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not going to speak against
Can't
that.
disagree.
But what this administration has quietly been doing, and people have not really been aware of it, is that what they're doing is they've been taking these mutual companies, these mutual investment companies, and also these big banks with a lot of they bought up a lot of these mortgages and stuff that have been created and stuff. What they've done with those is most mortgages right now are what's considered an underperforming asset or a non-performing asset, meaning it's zero. It's not making any money, or it's actually losing money. So what this administration has been doing is they've been having the Fed help them with it. And what they're doing is they're setting up shell corporations, or what's called mannequin corporations, right? And they're taking all of these toxic assets, all these underperforming or non-performing assets, and they're letting these companies keep all their liquidity and all their basically all their money, all their profit and everything that's profitable, right? They're letting them hold on to everything right? They're taking all their non-performing or underperforming assets, and they're just wholeheartedly, without a loan, without anything, just transferring it to these other mannequin corporations, right? And shell companies, and just saying, hey, you get to keep all your assets, all your stuff, right? But you can get rid of all your bills. And that's happening quietly in America right now. And that they refuse
I would need citations for the policies that are allowing for this and other things. I'd be interested in looking into that, but I don't want to make a brazen assertion in that way without proper citations on the channel.
No, it's not that it's secretly being done. It's just being done without them saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing." Right? This is something that I found out from multiple economists, and they're like, it's not that it's undercover, right? It's just that they're
I would like to see. I'm just saying that I would like to see citations that this is going on, because it's something I would love to cover on the channel, but it is something that I don't want to make an assertion is happening without proper evidence to back it up. Everything that we've said about COVID, we've backed up with articles and other things. We've got the WHO website, we've got the CDC. If you're going to be making assertions about this, I can wholeheartedly believe you and still think that state that if we're going to tell our audience that this is fact, that we need citations to back it up, because we have an audience of skeptics.
Yeah, I think it would be something interesting to look into, but I do want to close it down. We are at 11:20, so I want to go around the room and let everybody chill, and then I want to get out of here and go see and make sure my daughter is sleeping. She wasn't the last time, so.
Also, Nuka, you might want to go check on the Discord in Gen Chat and check on your friend, because I'm a bit concerned for him.
My friend in Gen Chat.
Yeah, there's a certain somebody who's freaking out a little bit, and I think that they need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, if you're still in chat, dog, we're about to close down. So yeah, I'll get with you.
Yeah, I don't want to over publicize, but I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I might have like an hour tonight, and we can shoot some shit. I can listen to you and kill some shit in Elder Scrolls. So just bear with me.
Alrighty. So, final conclusions, I suppose. We'll start with Susan, because you haven't gotten to talk very much since you came in.
Oh, yeah. I'm just really, really bad about just like jumping in there.
Usually, I had Allie as moderator, and she would have let you speak, and then I'm like, let's get rid of the moderators.
Free for all.
Yeah, so we're gonna work on that a little bit in these open rooms.
I kind of halfway did that a little bit tonight. I made sure that people who spoke up in the side chat and other things got to talk, but I didn't do it as well as I normally do because I was trying to participate. So apologies.
Yeah, we'll get back there. I'm a terrible moderator. That's why Allie came here. So.
I guess the big thing is, as somebody who has an autoimmune disorder, who is genuinely actually terrified of everything that is happening, wash your fucking hands, self-fucking quarantine. If you don't have to go out in public, don't go out in public. Do hangouts like this. Get your social interaction from that.
Especially if you think you might have talked to somebody who may have even thought that they came into contact with somebody who so much as sniffed their nose.
Yeah.
You can be Typhoid Mary and carry this shit to an entire community before you even realize, or anybody does, even if you never realize that you were ever bloody infected. And it's something like the numbers I'm seeing that are being published out of Italy and China, and I'm going to stress this over and over, something like between 10 and 20% of cases, 1/5 of 8 billion potential infected people will never fucking know that they were infected. That should make you piss your fucking pants, because it means that you could have already sitting in this room right now, having this conversation, watching this channel, have it, and anybody you've come into contact with, ignoring protocols or whatever, you could have given it to them.
Mm-hmm.
You hug your best friend, you hug your immunocompromised grandparent, you hug your fucking kid. You could have it and not bloody know, unless you yourself are immunocompromised, in which case you would know, because your immune system would not be able to fight it off.
Exactly.
But for those of you who are fucking healthy, you are the most dangerous, and you people are the ones who should be the most fucking concerned, because it's your friends and your loved ones that you will kill.
And because you're healthy doesn't mean you won't get it again. All the numbers just from the United States are showing that between 20 and 40% of people being hospitalized for coronavirus are between the ages of 20 and 50 years old. Just because you're young, just because you're healthy, doesn't mean you're safe. So, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like just be fucking careful. Wash your fucking hands. You can follow me on
Okay,
Twitter.
so
I'm
they can-
Motel Cowboy.
And to address Tony Design's point, those are the two countries that have the most research currently out on the virus, and they're the countries that WHO has drawn this conclusion. The WHO has released this information about people who are asymptomatic. So this isn't me just drawing a conclusion based off of 2 data points. This is something that is out there from WHO and the CDC.
So it's a safe road to travel down.
Correct.
Yeah. For closing it out, let's see. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Motel Cowboy. You can follow our dogs on Twitter. They're Dose Corgis15. You can follow our YouTube show on Twitter. That's Divine Disbelief. You can follow Nathaniel on Twitter. He's Atheist Tusker. And
Yes.
once we're in the same state, which is hopefully in about 2 weeks.
I'm so excited. You guys are going to be in my neck of the woods.
I'm so stoked. I've never lived outside of Texas, so this is a
You're
very
You're going
big
to
deal for
love
me.
it up here. Like,
I'm
you're going to
so
bloody
excited.
love it.
I'm so stoked for mountains. That's what I'm excited for. Like
Mountains and forests and fresh air and fossils. And you know what? We're going to have to meet up and stay 10 feet away from each other and excitedly
Exactly.
jump up and down 10 feet
Yeah.
away from each other. Like, that's going to be
Oh,
so
yeah.
much fucking fun.
We'll just squee in our own separate little contained areas.
And then go dig rocks and throw them at each other.
Yes. But I also want to show off because I think this is really cute. So this is, let's see, there we go. So this is a drawing from Big Bend National Park of the Aguja-ceratops. It's like a little artist rendering of an Aguja-ceratops, which is closely related to a Triceratops that was originally discovered at Big Bend. So my little dinosaur buddies. Just love my little dinosaur buddies. I like that tattoo. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got.
All right, so Puff, you next.
I don't have any channel or anything, but if you're stuck inside during this whole thing and you don't have anything to do and you have like a decent computer, it doesn't even have to be that good. Check out Elite Dangerous, and if you see me on, you want to find me on there, it's same name, Commander Puffalopagus. Just come find me. We'll go explore the galaxy together.
All right, and PL, I saved the best for last because you have been covering the fuck out of this. We posted all of your various videos on it. Susan, I'll get yours and Nathaniel's channel in the description as soon as we get out of this. I'm fairly good at getting those links in there, and I didn't expect you guys to come on tonight.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they would have already been there.
She's way better at it than I am. So
Yeah, I'm the one who does all of that. Like, Nox says he'll do it, and then he doesn't, and then I go back and do it, and it looks like he did. So PL, final conclusions, sort of warnings to everybody, and any future plans you've got to cover this particular topic or anything else, because you are criminally undersubbed, and everybody is still sitting in this fucking chat. If you are not subbed to him already, what the hell are you doing with your life? Nothing useful.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm 84 subs away from 1,000, and that's a big deal on YouTube because then you can get monetized. So if you aren't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. I live stream a couple of nights a week, and we've been covering a lot of coronavirus recently. We will continue to, since I'm going to be at home a lot now, probably. I do several different kinds of streams. I do like a show, ProLib Live, where we do a show, and then I also do like open hangouts where anybody can come in and just chat. We need to do another Patreon hangout actually pretty soon, which I'm going to schedule. Don't know exactly when, but maybe next week. So yeah, we do a lot of different stuff. We talk about politics. I talk about Star Trek, and but mainly politics. And I'm trying to get more guests on the show. Who one of the links down below is when I had Dragnaut and Fiona Robertson and my other friend Mary on, who's a medical researcher, and they answered questions from the live chat about coronavirus, and we debunked conspiracies. And I will be continuing to debunk conspiracies about coronavirus and other stuff.
Ali, we hear your keyboard. Ali, sorry.
It's okay. So yeah, I would love to get to 1,000 subscribers very soon. That'd be great. And follow me. My Twitter account is @lib_fan. It's run by my community. It's a social it's the social networking hub for the channel. And you can check us out there. And the Discord's free, and you're welcome to join that and come chat with us anytime. And thanks to all my patrons. I think almost all of my patrons showed up tonight, which was awesome. Thank you guys for doing that.
All right, so Nuck, here's my response.
I almost muted that ass.
You know what? I would have had a few things to say about it, namely more trolling in the Discord. But for anybody who is still hanging out in the chat, I have not done my typical mid-video rant. There's 20 people, we've got 11 likes. What the hell are you doing with your lives? Again, nothing useful. Please go ahead and give the algorithm a bump. We know that Buttface is going to be all up in our comment section trolling Nuck fairly soon, so, you know, the comments part, leave a comment, like, subscribe, etc. But we definitely need those likes. YouTube's algorithm is currently boning us. We're covering a topic that they're boning even harder than that. We've been demonetized. So your guys' engagement is literally the only way to get this information out there. I know that this was fairly long and rambling, but we did cover a lot of different important points, and we did address a lot of the sort of conspiracy nonsense that has been going about. And we've got links to progressive liberals' work on that as well. So try to get this stuff spread around, because it's a wealth of information for folks who are, you know, looking into these things and are very concerned. So please give us a little bit of help with the algorithm, because they freaking hate us because the NIFB decided to troll us into oblivion.
NIFB and others, I'm a raging atheist and I talk shit. I will be talking a lot of shit for the next couple months or however long I can. Gonna get at it tomorrow, so Patreon will be popping off starting tomorrow. It's gonna actually be really funny because I'm gonna probably get like 40 videos ahead. I have so much time, and it's glorious and sad, and I want to run out the door and just do something. So, but I want to thank everybody that showed up tonight. Day 4 of the Great Isolation.
Since you've got all bloody day, maybe we can record that Genesis Chapter 3 video together.
Yeah, we are on. No, I got to do Chapter 2 first. I'll do that tomorrow, and then we can record Chapter 3. So more of that shit's going to be coming. Yeah,
and
the algorithm hates us, y'all.
Response videos fairly soon too. I'm going to be launching the Pissed Off Polytheist series very, very soon. I'm already working on my first response to Steven Anderson, because I decided if I'm going to do this, I'm going to baptize myself in Trollfire.
Yeah, gotta get up in that Dances with the Devil
right.
playlist right there. So a lot of stuff's going to be coming. We'll see how long this goes. We'll see if the country shuts down. We'll see. It's only day 4. We'll be talking about this, I'm sure, several times moving forward. And it might even be one of the main topics, because it is the topic. So thank you, everybody, for coming in.
And Nakasuchi, DM me, because I want you to come on the show. Just you and me. Just
yeah, definitely, dude. I've got so much time now. I'm about to email James and like, remember all those times I turned you down on debates? Let's do this.
Right.
All right. So yeah. Thank you, Progressive Liberal, Puff. Dragnot was here earlier. Susan, Nathaniel, Ali. Am I missing anybody? Ali, Rilla. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
We're gonna try to do these open rooms at least once a month.
Was the other one.
What up?
I said Dragnot was the other one. If you didn't,
yeah,
say
I said Drag. Okay. I did remember Dragnot, because that's my boy. And please subscribe to everybody, because we all have time. Plenty of people watching the YouTubes. So we're gonna get out of here. No Patreon screen still on us on here, even despite all my time. Like I said, unemployment day didn't go so well. Shit. But we're gonna get out of here, guys. So peace.
Bye, everybody.